if it will go.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
What's good, my people? Welcome back to another episode of Dynamics on the Hardwood. It's your boy Denzel. We got Live Zone. Oh, wrong way. And we have our boy Darren. I guess I hear you've done the show before. Am I wrong about that, Darren?
A long time ago.
A long time.
I've done some videos,
Way back in yesteryear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, if you remember Live Zone Sports back on the TCN days, we did have Darren on a few podcasts. We're bringing him back on here for East Coast sports investors people to see. Darren, I want to know, how you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. Can't complain.
All right, that's what I like to hear.
All right. So we got a lot to get into, folks, here. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about in the NBA playoffs. I mean, as much as I want to talk about the Pacers stealing one in game 2 here on the road, which is insane because last I saw they were losing with under 2 minutes to go. And I'm like, well, it looks like the series is tied 1-1. We're going to get right into it because we're going to talk about who has the most pressure to perform here in these playoffs. And we're going to go series by series here. We're going to start with the Pacers versus the Cavs. So, CJ, what individual player do you think has the most pressure to perform and prove something in the playoffs out of these two teams?
Hey, I think it's pretty obvious here. Obviously, the Cleveland Cavaliers have just went down 2-0, as you said earlier. I think the clear answer here is Donovan Mitchell. Listen, we came here to see what Donovan Mitchell had. Donovan Mitchell is the star of this team, and we're trying to see if he's really a number 1 seed or if he's just there because of what he did in the regular season and not in the playoffs. We need to see Donovan Mitchell show up. He has been the star of the Utah Jazz before, now star of the Cleveland Cavaliers. We need to see him step up. We need to see him get to the conference finals against, either the Boston Celtics or New York Knicks. And the only way that they're going to do it is if they go throughout him. It's pretty clear right now. They don't have Garland there. Mobley is doing his thing. Allen's doing his thing. But Donovan Mitchell needs to step up and be that X factor for the Cleveland Cavaliers in my eyes.
All right, Darren, what do you think? I mean, it's easy to say this because, man, I'm telling you, Mitchell had 48 tonight. Is there still a lot of pressure to perform, even if you're putting up big numbers?
I think Pacers are playing with house money. Obviously, they're a competent team in the East, and I think they can compete. But I look at the Cavs, and like CJ said, you got Donovan Mitchell, who's proven that he can have consistent regular season success. But I don't know if we've consistently seen in the playoffs. And like you said, he dropped 48. But when you're doing that and you're losing, kind of feels like empty stats. So I'd agree. Yeah, Mitchell, he's proven plenty of times that he can be a great player, best player on the team. But you're down 0-2 going back to Indiana. It's tough. I feel like definitely the pressure's on him.
I agree with you, Darren.
Yeah, absolutely. to me, it's more than just personal accolades now. Like like you said, he's proven this before. We've seen this, especially when he was in Utah. He had multiple playoff runs where he averaged 30 points a game. There was one where he averaged 36 points a game in a playoff run with the Utah Jazz. That's obviously in yesteryear with Rudy Gobert and all these other guys on that team. But with that being said, he has proven that he can be a cornerstone of a franchise that has legitimate title aspirations. But getting to the Eastern Conference Finals with this team that won how many games? 60,
Four.
64 games.
Yeah.
And the Eastern Conference Finals should be the bare minimum with this Cleveland Cavalier team. It should be. The only problem is that Donovan Mitchell has never made an Eastern or Western Conference Finals in his career. And so that's where I agree with what both of y'all are saying. Like, he's proven, but when the rubber meets the road, scoring 48 in a loss like this and watching the Pacers steal not one, but fully steal home court advantage from you in these playoffs, that is a big no-no, especially as a one seed that dominated throughout the East. And so for me, Donovan Mitchell, come on, man. Like, I can't say to him, be better, because like you don't have Garland. There's injuries with, like, seriously.
Right, but like, hold on, because I disagree with that. You can put up the numbers all you want, but if you're a leader of a team and if you're one of the best guards in the league and you're, what they're claiming you to be, they're expecting you to be a leader. They're expecting you to be a winner. And obviously he's not leading his team to victory, and that's on nobody but him. Yes, it was just a 1-point victory today, but what happened in game 1? You know what I mean? You're going to tell me that that Garland was the clear leader of this team? He was the one that got everybody together and get going? Like, no, it's Donovan Mitchell, and he needs to do what he was doing in the regular season. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't disagree with that statement, but Garland's out. DeAndre Hunter's out today. DeAndre Hunter didn't play. And Defensive Player of the Year, Evan Mobley, did not play tonight either. So he has to shoulder a monster. I mean, tonight he had to shoulder a monster load. Now, I'm going to say this. Like, they were up 17 at the end of the first quarter in this game. And we'll get to a different team that blew a lead last night. We'll get to them later. But with that being said, he had to shoulder a lot of the load tonight, and especially with having your Defensive Player of the Year out and a great 3-and-D guy in DeAndre Hunter. And so, Darren, I'm going to come to you on this. Does Donovan Mitchell have excuses?
Yeah,
Legit excuses to the reason why?
It's easy to say that, and I think they are reasonable things to say and point out, because it is hard to win when your players aren't playing. But I look at a close game, and I mean, this was a very winnable game for the Cavs.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
It's easier to point out that there's flaws in the way they played more than the lack of players, because if they're up 17, you want to hold that lead. So I think that's more what we focus on than the fact that the players are out, because a lead like that, obviously it's the playoffs. I mean, like you said, Celtics. So no lead is safe in the playoffs, but it's tough because I see a well-rounded team like the Pacers taking complete advantage of the Cavs, and I don't know if that gets better even if the Cavs are healthy.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. We're talking about the playoffs. We're talking about, hey, this is next man up situation. You all got to be ready. It's playoff time. It's go time. We're hitting full throttle right now. Was Magic Johnson having excuses when Kareem got hurt and he had to go play center in the 80s? I don't think so. He went out and he won a championship, didn't he? So that's the thing that you got to look at. I'm not saying that Donovan Mitchell is no Magic Johnson, but he's looked at as one of the best guards in the league. He's looked at as one of the best shooting guards in the league, possibly number 1 in the league right now, maybe only behind Jaylen Brown in my eyes. So what are we really talking about? You're telling me that he can't lead a team to victory? I mean, he did it. He did it in Utah the same way. It came down to a one-basket situation. Mike Conley took the last shot, not Donovan Mitchell. And now we're heading into Cleveland Cavaliers territory. And yeah, you don't have some of your guys there. but you still had a 17-point lead and you guys blew it within seconds of the last seconds of the game. That comes down to leadership. That comes down to Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, there was some crucial moments going down the stretch in this game too, and they're up. I'm kidding you not. They were up 7 with 48 seconds left in this game, and one of the key things that happened, Mitchell hits 2 free throws. They go up 7, and then Pascal Siakam gets fouled, misses 2 free throws, only for it to get overturned thanks to a challenge. But the biggest thing for me was he ended up committing an offensive foul. He committed an offensive foul and a turnover, which ultimately gives so Nesmith dunks, offensive foul, Mitchell commits that turnover, and now what does that lead to? It leads to another possession for Indiana, and we just saw Indiana do this against the Bucks in the series clinching game in Game 5 there, where they were down by 7 points while there were a minute to go, and they practically stole the game. Even though, yes, people will argue that coaching, Doc Rivers, and the way that the turnover at the end, the ball that went
I'm
through
one of
Gary
those people.
I know Darren's like me too.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page with it being it being on Doc Rivers, the head coach, but also the players have to play too, and Gary Trent, the ball going through his legs there,
That
clearly
was
was
an
moving.
unfortunate
He
thing.
I like to say he pulled a Aaron Hernandez or a Wes Welker trying to move before he caught the ball,
Yeah.
and so it's unfortunate to see these things happen. But I mean, my question here is did the Cavaliers lose this game, or did the Pacers win and take this game?
I think it comes down to a little bit of both. Listen, the Pacers are no team to look past. I said it to you at the beginning of this series and the beginning of last series. I think the Pacers are really the second best team in the Eastern Conference, and that's with the Knicks being here. I really do. I think that the Pacers are really overlooked, and I think that they have a point guard that is very overlooked, kind of the same way that Jason Tatum gets overlooked as, hey, is he really a star? Or is he just going to put up numbers and act as a star because he has players around him? He doesn't need to go out and get 30 points a night for them to win. I see that being the same way with Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese doesn't need to score for them to win. Yes, he scored tonight. He scored 19 points and only had 4 assists, but what did he do with it? He had 9 rebounds, correct? So That's the thing. He doesn't need to be the one that's scoring all the time for this Pacers team to win. That's what I like about this Pacers team. You can have 3 or 4 different people that put up double-digit figures in points and win the game because that's how good their defense is. So that's what I look at for that. But if I'm going to pick somebody that lost this game for them, it's Donovan Mitchell, 110%. I know I put a lot of pressure on Donovan Mitchell's hands, but at the end of the day, that's what this sport's about. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, everybody that's a great star gets the pressure. And Donovan Mitchell is one of those guys, and he just tends to crack under pressure. And we saw it in the last 2 games.
And just to build off what he said, I mean, we've seen it plenty of years. The healthiest team usually is one of the better teams in the playoffs. The Pacers, I've been following them pretty close since I moved out to the Midwest, and I'm going to jinx it, they don't seem to deal with many injuries. And right now, like I said, as they're well-rounded, where you can argue that they don't have the star power, but they have the names to be competent. And with all that tied together, a great bench. If they're healthy throughout the playoffs, I can definitely see beating the Cavs. And maybe, I don't know how the Eastern Conference Final goes if they go there, but they're pretty good right now.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, when you guys are talking about being well-rounded, this Indiana Pacers team, I mean, we're looking at the stats here. Andrew Nembhard, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 13 assists. Miles Turner, 23 points, 8 rebounds. Aaron Nesmith, 23 points.
Boston guy.
Right. And
close to my name. He's close to
we haven't even gotten to Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam only had 12 points in this game, and then we forget about the Energizer Bunny coming off the bench and TJ McConnell. He didn't do much tonight, but it was Benedict Mathurin with 19 points off the bench. These guys had 6 guys in double figures.
You know,
And
you know, who coaches them? The same guy who coached that 2011 Mavs team, Rick Carlisle.
oh yeah, that's right.
He works really well with well-rounded teams. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, Rick Carlisle. Yeah, I mean, I think he's done a very masterful job with this Pacers team, and they're up 2-0. They're in a very, very good spot coming back home, and I mean, I don't want to say they're going to sweep them. I still think that Cleveland is the better team. You want the sweep? Oh man, here we go. This guy over
I could see it. Going back home. I could see the Cavs can
I mean, going back home and ending the series early to go rest up for the Eastern Conference Finals, that is the best case scenario for the Indiana Pacers right now.
Oh, at one absolutely. And I mean,
and if people are hurt in Cleveland, dude,
they were close. Those Celtics games last year before Tyrese got hurt, they got swept, but that was a really good start.
I mean, I lead that series to one key play. That Pacers Celtics Eastern Conference Finals, the Jaylen Brown corner 3 in game 1. Yeah. If he doesn't hit that 3, series. That series is completely different. So that's that's where I hang my hat on that one. If Jaylen Brown doesn't hit that shot, that series is easily 6-7 games.
Tyrese getting hurt. That was also a thing because
that's also part.
Indiana, they tend to hit their stride right in playoff season, and they tend to be the best in the playoffs. And then after that, something happens to Tyrese or something like that last year, where Tyrese Haliburton got hurt during the Celtics run. That's the reason why that there was a sweep. It wasn't because they weren't good enough. It wasn't because they weren't experienced. It was literally just because their star player got hurt, and that's what it came down to.
And if I'm correct, they had a really poor start to the season. Not that justifies anything, but their record may be more loose than it is. They had a really good February in January. The start of the year, I think they didn't lose. I have to fact check that, but they won a lot of games going into 2025. Yeah, and that really boosted them back into like top. So I mean, if they had a better start, they might be closer to. I mean, they won 50 games. It's pretty good.
Because after last season, when Tyrese Haliburton got hurt, everybody was writing off Tyrese Haliburton, saying he was overrated. He wasn't going to pull it off again this year, and that he wasn't going to be the same player. He wasn't going to hit the same stats. And look at what he's doing in this playoffs. This playoffs, honestly, he's been doing better than last playoffs. And I am a big Tyrese Haliburton supporter, and I think that Tyrese Haliburton is very underrated. But I think that this Indiana Pacers team needs to be looked at a lot more closely than what they are.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more there. You could say the Pacers, and you guys have both hinted at it, that the Pacers, I think, overall are underrated as a whole because their record, I mean, their position in the Eastern Conference is not indicative of who they are as an actual team. And we're watching them go up against the 1 seed in Cleveland here. Yes, Cleveland's got some injuries, but like you said, there should be no excuses for Donovan Mitchell and this team. This team has got a lot of talent. You want to put the blame on Donovan Mitchell? So be it. As part of that blame goes on Ty Jerome, 1 of 14. When they need you to score and be an assist man in a game 2, when you don't have Hunter and you don't have your DPOY, and that's huge to go 1 of 14. And I get it. It's the NBA. These things happen. Everyone's subject to an off night, any night of the week. But at the same time, though, we are getting to the meat and potatoes of the playoffs here. This is the second round. This is not your cookies and cream that you get in the first round when you're going up against the Miami Heat team that a lot of people think shouldn't have been there. Even if it was the Chicago Bulls being in the 8th seed this year, people would have said that's a fluke and all this stuff. So there's a lot more basketball to be played in this series. But we're going to go to the next series, but we're going to go to the Western Conference. We're going to go back and forth here. We're going to go to the Nuggets and Thunder. Obviously, the Nuggets take game one. Man, Aaron Gordon with 2 buzzer beaters in the playoffs already, dude. Are you kidding me? And Darren, I'm going to start with you. Who in this series do you think has the most pressure to perform?
Yeah, I don't think CJ's going to disagree with me. OKC, they have it all this season. They have what will probably be the MVP. However you feel about that, that's just what I think will probably happen. How many games did they win? 60.
I think they were right around the same record, 64,
Yeah, it was like
65.
65. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and listen, I think we can all see that they are a little bit ahead of schedule, even though I don't want to feel that way. But it's still, it's so weird to think because there's so many young guys on that team. But the Nuggets, I mean, they fired their head coach with 4 games left in the season. They have Jokic, who is, 3-time MVP. I think the Nuggets, you really can't say, their expectations going into the playoffs were already kind of funky. So I look at OKC where I didn't expect much for them coming in, but I look at that game where they had I think a comfortable 10-point lead most of the game. Then you blink, and then Aaron Gordon
20-point lead at one point.
20.
Yeah, 20-point lead halfway through the fourth quarter.
Blown leads. Yeah. I'm kind of a mixed bag because I can see both angles because I want to give OKC the benefit of the doubt because they overachieved a tad bit, and I'd say the Nuggets where I expect more from them, but at the same time, I think I'll still give it to OKC right now just because of where they're at. And what you expect them to achieve, despite what you really in reality think they'll achieve.
Now, do you have a specific player, or is it just the team?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean SGA. He's again. You're looking at. You expect him to be the main focal point of that team, and I'm not going to say that it was a bad game. Just kind of similar. Everybody's playing. You just kind of blow a lead. I didn't expect that. I was like, oh man, they have a comfortable. They were kind of just cruising through that game. But the Nuggets tend to do that. If you let them stay in the game too long, they will take complete advantage of that. So it's easy. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, again, it's more of an overall effort because the team is so young and cooperative. I expect everybody to be on point. But SGA, I mean, he's the main guy, easiest guy to kind of pinpoint.
Fair enough.
Where you at, CJ, with this? I mean, I think it might be 3 for 3 here because I had SGA too because he's the head guy. But do you think there could be someone else on OKC that has the most pressure?
I don't think it's an OKC guy for me. As much as that's surprising to a lot of people. Listen, if you've been watching SGA, he has struggled against the Denver Nuggets all season this season. He's had some of the worst games that he had all year against the Denver Nuggets. So that's expected. The rest of the team, listen, I love J-Dubs. But I don't think that he has anything to prove because he's putting up numbers. Same with Chet. Chet is putting up numbers on the defensive side. So, I mean, he's expected to do that. I look at the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray and Jokic have nothing to prove right now in my eyes. I think that they are doing phenomenal right now. Same with Aaron Gordon. But the guy that I do think has the most to prove in the playoffs right now is the guy that doesn't get enough love, and that's Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has the most to prove for me right now because he needs to go out and get a ring. That's what it comes down to. Russell Westbrook, if he has a ring on him, he is one of the best point guards ever to play basketball, and it's not even close. So for me, I have to say Russell Westbrook, but if I'm looking at a team, it's obviously Oklahoma City because I think when I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's a similar thing to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I look at them as the same way as the Toronto Raptors were looked at or the Atlanta Hawks were looked at against LeBron James. That's the way I look at these two teams. I don't think either of these teams are ready to go to the Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals. I don't think any of them are ready. And I think if we're looking at the playoffs right now, the 3 teams that I would say are more ready are the other 3 teams that are stacked above them. So for me, I think it's Russell Westbrook just because of the fact that Russell Westbrook needs to get a ring and he needs to keep on doing what he's doing because he's fitting in his role perfectly right now. But other than that, I mean, yeah, if we're looking at a team that has the most to prove, it's Oklahoma City, of course.
Mm. I think I actually like your take on Russell Westbrook because a ring would definitely solidify him in Hall of Fame status. I mean, I clearly do believe that this guy's a Hall of Famer with averaging a triple double 3 years, three straight seasons.
Name another point guard that you really put over him other than Magic and and Curry. If Russell Westbrook has a ring, you know, with his stats and stuff like that. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean those. I mean,
Honestly, it's such a shame how Westbrook was like mishandled, like
yeah,
post
mm,
years, I'd say, because it really hurt his image. And I thought that Lakers trade was the worst thing for everybody. He was such a bad fit for. He
same
seemed
with
all
Houston though.
dominant.
Same with Houston. He was a
Houston,
bad fit for Houston.
Houston, like it worked because he was still coming off. It was also the bubble year, so maybe I'm just
Yeah,
not
but
the
it
full
didn't
picture.
fit because the Houston Rockets were a 3-point shooting team. And that's when we saw the downfall of Russell Westbrook shooting as many threes as he did and bricking them and Russell Westbrook and all that stuff. That's when
I
that
wish he
all
stayed
started.
longer. Yeah, I get what you're. If we're gonna talk like Hall of Fame, yeah, I think he's one without a ring. If we're gonna talk about the basketball Hall of Fame, he has a gold medal. We remember him from UCLA highlight days. So I think he already had. I mean, MVP kind of feels like people would talk about Derrick Rose getting in with just an MVP. Then Westbrook should have no
Yeah,
problem.
no, I'm not saying
absolutely.
that I'm not saying that Russell Westbrook isn't a Hall of Fame guy
No,
because
I agree. Like a
he
ring,
will be in the
that's the
Hall of
final
Fame.
thing. Like
But
the last thing he needs to like cap off
yeah,
his career.
but if we're
Right.
looking
Yeah.
at greatest point guards of all time, Russell Westbrook should be on that list right now. He took something that was impossible getting before he did it. And he did it 3 years in a row. So it made it get overlooked. Like triple doubles don't get looked at the same way that they did in
Yeah, didn't Jokic
2017.
do it this season? No, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore, right? Because of
Yeah.
what Jokic and Russell Westbrook have done to the triple double. So if we look at Russell Westbrook, like if you take Russell Westbrook's stats and just him on paper, he's the best point guard of all time. If you look at his stats and stuff like that. But if you look at like everything else that's involved with it, winning and all that stuff and
Right.
changing the game and everything, Magic
Transcendent.
and Curry are 1 and 2. But if Russell Westbrook gets a ring, I think that easily cements him at that number 3 spot.
Mm. Yeah, no, Russell. Yeah, the whole Westbrook days, man. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of blame that he shouldered that shouldn't have never gone on him, because he was in a system that would have never fit him anyways, and so, uh, yeah, I mean, Russell Westbrook, man. I mean, what else can I say about this guy that you two haven't already said? Like, I mean, I agree. He should be up there as top. I mean, this is arguably top 5 point guard of all time. And, I'm not even gonna try and hint at a segment that we have later up coming on in the show, but I'm not gonna go there yet. We're gonna wait and hold off on that. But the reason why I picked Shea is because he also, like Donovan Mitchell, has not made in a conference final, period. And he's performed extremely well. He is another one of these guys that's a proven player. But there is somewhat of a lack of consistency in these playoffs. And I'm using yes, I get the Memphis series was a complete mismatch. I absolutely agree with that. But he was inconsistent in that series. But Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Hartenstein, and all these other guys, yes, it's a team sport, but SGA has shouldered the load the last couple of seasons for this team in terms of scoring, in terms of being the guy that gets this team to go. and move and get these, to be the guy to get everything going for them. And so there's a small lack of inconsistency in the playoffs from him. And you made a good point with his struggles. I don't want to fully say that he struggled against Denver. Like when I've looked at his numbers against Denver this season, he scored 25, 40, 28, 28. I mean, like not disappointing numbers, but at the same time, though, numbers that we're accustomed to seeing from him on a nightly basis, it's a little underwhelming because this guy scored how many? I mean, he
had a 50-point game. He had multiple 40-point games and multiple 30-point games in this whole season. And the Denver Nuggets held him to 20 in 3 out of the 4 outings that they had.
Yeah.
He struggled the most against Denver, so it's not surprising to see that he's struggling in the playoffs against Denver as well.
And I think the biggest thing to your point on that is Shea is starting to shoot the 3 ball a little bit more than we've seen in the past. And this season, he shot 25% from 3. Like I'm looking at his numbers here from games against Denver this season, 2 of 6. 0 of 3, 2 of 11, and 3 of 7. I mean, he went 7 of 27 shooting the 3 ball this year against Denver, 26%. And so, I mean, I'm not even gonna sit here and take a look at his. I'm not even gonna look at his 2-point percentages because he shot 49% from the field. But when it comes to free throw shooting, he only averaged 7.3 free throw attempts a game against Denver. And Denver, like you said, you hit the nail on the head that Murray and Jokic have nothing to prove. They've done this before. They've climbed the mountaintop and gotten there and have won a championship. And so, they have nothing to prove. I agree with Russell Westbrook, arguably being the player with the most pressure to perform in this series. But when it comes to leading a team, you shouldering the load like a Donovan Mitchell with all these injuries, it should be Shea 100%.
No. I agree with you. But here's you're good. Here's the thing. When I look at SGA, right, and I look at Russell Westbrook, I think about winning a championship. When I think about Donovan Mitchell, I think about leading a team into the Eastern Conference Finals because he hasn't done it yet. I know that the OKC Thunder can get to the Western Conference Finals because they don't just have Shea, they also have J-Dubs, they also have Chet that can lead them in. When I think about the Nuggets and the OKC Thunder, I think about winning a championship. And when I think about winning a championship in that series, the first guy I go to is Russell Westbrook.
You got anything to add on, Darren? I know you were getting ready to say something there.
A bit sarcasm, but honestly, probably a bit of truth to it because you talk about SGA's free throw percentage against the Nuggets. Yeah. It's quite interesting because I think the people with the most pressure are any refs in OKC because you need to get Shea's free throws. A lot of his, I'm not even disrespecting, again, mostly sarcasm. Right. But I think Shea, overall plays better when he's getting those calls in the paint and he's driving. And when he has to more rely on the 3, he said 25%, those are numbers I look at. I don't want to get all analytical, but those are noticeable flaws that I've noticed in most games where SGA plays bad. Conveniently, he's not going to the line as much. And can't, not that that's important to pressure, but
no 30 free throws a game.
Not in Denver.
I know.
That was too high in Denver. They can't get the calls off. Trying to blow
Love to see.
Here we go.
All right. Before we go into the next set of games, I said that Cleveland was gonna get swept. I want to know your guys' too for the Cleveland series, and then we'll go ahead and we'll give it for the Denver series as well.
Yeah, I'll give a gentleman's sweep. I think the Cavs, no way they can't win one game, but I can see your point with the 4-0. So 4-1 would be my Pacers.
All right.
Pacers, Cavs. My original take on this was Cavs in 6. That was my original take on this. But now that they've lost 2 in a row,
at home.
I could see a Pacers gentleman sweep, or I could easily. I mean, Cleveland's gonna have to show that they can win on the road in Game 3 and Game 4 in Indiana. And could I see them taking one of those two games in Indiana? Yeah, I could see them taking one, but it's like, dude, like you put yourself in an 0-2 hole against a team that is definitely healthier than you are, and so I think the load is too much for Donovan Mitchell's shoulder. So give me Pacers in 5.
Yeah, they got LeBron on the phone, so they looked at those Pacer highlights from like 14, 13, 18. Like, we need them.
Yeah.
Well, my pick for the Western Conference one, the Denver Nuggets versus OKC Thunder. This is where we had this problem a few weeks ago, Denzel, where we were choosing that prediction-based thing. I had the Clippers going to the Western Conference Finals. I'm going to have to look at the Nuggets, and I'm going to say that the Nuggets are going to win this series, and I say that they're going to win it in 5. I don't think that there's any competition there.
What do you think, Darren? What do you think about Nuggets Thunder?
Yeah, I think they lost a lot of momentum. Game 1, that's a must win and a should win. So I feel like OKC, they can definitely steal some. I could see Nuggets in 6.
All right. For me, Nuggets and Thunder, I have it going 7. Believe it or not, I have it going 7, and give me the championship experience over the youth. I love OKC, man. Like you said earlier, Darren. Like, have they overachieved? Have they plateaued a little too early? Like, there is that. We could sit here and talk about that narrative all we want. Like, if they put all their eggs in one basket in the regular season, and I'm not saying they're running out of gas here because they're all young here in the playoffs, but the highest level of intensity and competitions here in the playoffs, and obviously championship experience is going to rise to the forefront. And we saw that in the Warriors Rockets series. I know CJ's smiling because if the Rockets won that series, I'd be eating crow big time in that series if that happened. But I see this going 7, and I could definitely see both teams. I mean, we just seen Denver win on the road. I could see SGA and the Thunder winning on the road in Denver, given the altitude and all that. But give me Nuggets in 7. But with that being said, we're going to move on to, I think this is probably going to be the most long-winded part of the segment. We're going to go Celtics and Knicks.
Ron, real quick, I have to admit, I for my computer and I didn't get my charger. Is it going to mess it up if I pause this real quick? I know it's such a bad look.
Just go get your charger real quick.
Just go get your charger.
Sorry.
You're fine. Oh man. But with that being said, we're gonna head into a little short break real quick because we had some technical difficulties real quick. Yeah. So so we'll be right back. We're gonna give you a little short ad here from Atlanta Seafood and Steaks. We will give you a different one than we originally give you. We'll be right back.
Man, I messed that up so bad.
Oh man!
I had to move. I'm sorry. Because I switched from my computer to my phone. That's all.
It's all good. It's all good. We're back here on Dynamics on our. I'm glad that you said something before your phone died.
He said long segments, so I was like, "Oh boy."
Listen, man. Between that, there's that happened, and then I'm getting ready to start the show, and I see the thing is still muted, and I start saying, "What's up, you guys?" I'm like, "Crap, the mic is still muted." I'm like, "Oh, 2 blunders on the show, not on
All
my
right,
bingo
all
card,
right.
not on the bingo card today, folks." All right. With that being said, Celtics, Knicks. This obviously, once again, the road team has taken game 1 here in this series, and the Knicks prevail somehow, some way. I'm still shaking my head in disbelief. But CJ, Knicks, Celtics, who has the most pressure to perform in in the playoffs, just in general?
Stephen A. Smith as a fan of the New York. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Uh,
Spicy.
I'm not even gonna go with the player here, though. I'm gonna surprise you guys a little bit. I'm gonna go with Tom Thibodeau. I think he has the most to do. He has the most pressure to perform in this playoff series. Listen, Tom Thibodeau is a great coach, and we've seen him have star players year in and year out. We've seen him have Derrick Rose and all them. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Butler was on the Thibodeau teams as well.
Yeah, in
I'm pretty sure
Chicago,
he was
yeah.
on Chicago and Minnesota, correct? Yep.
Correct.
So he's also had Zach LaVine and Karl Anthony Towns. That means, and he now has these guys in New York, where he actually has Karl Anthony Towns again. Listen, he picked this team out. He said, "Listen, give me these guys, and I'm gonna make it work." And now he needs to make it work. He has Karl Anthony Towns, he has Mikal Bridges, he has Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart. The names go on and on for this New York Knicks team. Now it's just time to prove if this New York Knicks team can get it done or not. And if they don't get it done, I look at the coaching more than I look at the players.
Yeah, I had a whole segment about the Knicks because I look at the Celtics and I feel like we know what to expect of them. Tough loss, but I think more about the Knicks because CJ said they built this team. They lobbied a lot of their future. Mikal Bridges was 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Cat, I don't know if that was more player central. It's been a while, but you handpick this team. They're good. You look at last season and very similar to most East teams, they got injured at the wrong time, right into the Pacers when they were at their health. So, it's tough. I agree. Tom Thibodeau, he's been given a lot of chances in New York. And I think he's the one who's got to worry the most because you're not going to break up this core,
110%.
So you got to blame somebody. I feel like at the beginning of the season we were so confident, like Cavs, Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals. Now it's like the Knicks. You're in this position where I guess the second round exit wasn't unexpected, but the Cat trade that was so sudden, and I know it's the Celtics. Like I expect them to win because I'm biased. And the Celtics are, defending champions. But the Knicks, it's weird that they're 1-0 in this series, and feels weird to, I still feel weird about them.
Yeah. Feels weird to doubt the Celtics after the season that they've been having. The Celtics are very loaded. And when I look at the Eastern Conference, it's 1A and 1B with this team. I don't think Jason Tatum has any pressure to perform because Jason Tatum is great at what he does and he shows up when he needs to. Same thing with Jaylen Brown. Same thing with the core of the Boston Celtics. I think the same of the New York Knicks, in all honesty. I mean, we look at the few games that they've had. We talked about this in the last series. 3 open threes for Karl Anthony Towns in one game. Jalen Brunson hitting another fourth quarter buzzer beater or fourth quarter game winner. I'm looking at both of these sides as the players are not the problems. It now just comes down to the coaching and who is the better coach. And I do think that's Joe Mazzulla, but I think Tom Thibodeau is right there with Mazzulla, and I think that Tom Thibodeau has the most to prove because he doesn't have a ring under his belt the same way that Mazzulla does.
He was a 2008 assistant coach for the Celtics. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say assistant coach for the 08 champs.
But you know what I mean as a head coach. As a head coach.
Yes, the head coach, right. Yeah, he hasn't gotten over the hump. I mean, that's the biggest thing is he's never gotten over the hump, and I thought that's a phenomenal take, CJ, on Tom Thibodeau. Like, great coach overall. I think some people, don't like the way his philosophy of running his players in the ground a little bit with the 40 plus minutes and all that stuff. But
I'm one of those.
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean,
the
I
D
will
Rose.
admit though, the players are buying. I mean, I can't say, there's was some talks earlier this year of Josh Hart having a little bit of trouble with all the minutes they're playing and all this stuff like that. But Jalen Brunson, I mean, he's got Villanova guys on this team, and Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges, this guy hasn't missed a game since his junior year of high school. Like, dude, like a lost art in today's NBA. Like complete lost art. He's the Iron Man in the NBA. He hasn't missed a game in all, was it 7 seasons he's played in the league. He hasn't missed a single game. Complete lost art. So I love the take on Tom Thibodeau for sure. I put, it's so obvious to put star players in this position, but Karl Anthony Towns has struggled against Boston. Like this season, he's had 3 games under 15 points against Boston this year. 3 out of the 5 games, including game 1, he's been underwhelming in terms of his performance in the playoffs, and it has reared its ugly head even when he was on other teams that were in the playoffs. So when we look at the statistics here, Karl Anthony Towns, by the way, has been in the league 10 years. I had to like double take and look at that again. He's been in the league since 2015. And he has had 9 out of those 10 seasons over 20 points, averaging over 20 points per game. He's been in the postseason 5 years, and he's averaging less than, it's like 18.8 points per game in the postseason. He's averaging 5 points per game less in the postseason than he has been averaging in the regular season. Yes, completely 2 different sides of metrics here. We're talking about 82 game season, and your postseason is at most 28 games if you go 7 games in all 4 series. So 2 completely different metrics, but he's averaging 18.8 points per game in the playoffs compared to 23.1 regular season. And he's played 39 playoff games. He's played almost half a season in playoff games throughout his career, and he's only averaging 18.8 a game. I'm not worried about rebounding. There's no doubt in my mind he is a dominant force on the rebounding side of the ball. He's averaging, I mean, he had a 3-year drought there where he wasn't averaging a double-double, but that was because he's in Minnesota and Rudy Gobert's there with him. And so Rudy Gobert's going to take away some of that rebounding as well, but he's averaging what, 20, was it 24, 25 and 12 this season, 25 and 13 if you want to round it up. But I had to say Karl Anthony Towns because I just haven't seen it in the playoffs. And now he's going up against a team in Boston who, unfortunately for him, is a matchup nightmare. And granted, I'm not saying
But isn't that
CJ's
everybody
hurt.
though?
Huh?
Isn't that everybody in the league? I mean, defending champions, like that, and the team that they have and how deep they run. I mean, the Celtics are a nightmare matchup for any team. So it's not
Yes.
Karl
Oh,
Anthony.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I couldn't pick. That's why I couldn't pick a player from the New York Knicks, is because they're a nightmare for everybody. It's not just Karl Anthony Towns or the Knicks. You know what I mean? Everybody has struggled against the Celtics this year. Everybody.
I will say this: if you look at how the Celtics played Game 1, and
Mhm.
that should feel pressure because you had KP, who, I mean, power forward center switch. He would be on some duty for Cat, and then
Right.
Luke Cornett going in. What was he, like, fouling 3 times? So you're putting Al Horford, who, he's Al Horford, but he shouldn't be the. You
Hey,
don't want him to be the
hey,
driver. No, I'm
hey.
not going to disrespect, but he's getting old, man. You can't have him
Hey,
every
bald
minute
Al
on.
Horford is still better than Karl Anthony Towns on any given day. No, that's my bias Celtics. That's my
I
bias
just
Celtics
like
pick
if
right there.
that's how you're gonna play a long-term series. KP's health has been up and down since he got in Boston. So,
Give me bald Al Horford any day of the week.
Yeah. I mean,
so
I'll say this. You make a good point, Darren, about Al Horford because Al Horford, yeah, 38 years old. He seems to be a timeless a timeless wonder here a little bit because he's turned back the clock to his Atlanta days sometimes, and he's up.
Atlanta, Florida days.
Yeah,
he hasn't
we
lost
could
a
say
step.
Florida days too.
He hasn't
Like,
lost a
50 years
step,
old,
brother.
and Embiid is still getting
oh,
washed out.
okay. The point is,
He's still a defensive matchup nightmare for any of the top 5 centers in the league.
I mean, if there's one guy that I would want to guard Giannis, give me Al Horford all day. Like,
Same
give me
with
Al Horford
Embiid.
all day in that matchup. And we saw that movie
Yeah,
once, and it
yep.
didn't go well for Giannis. Let me just say that.
Giannis,
It,
Giannis, Embiid,
Embiid, like I said,
Jokic. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm not
all
hating.
of them.
It's like
You can
you
put
can
whoever you want on Al Horford. I'm taking Al Horford every single day
I just feel
against
like
your
they're.
center.
yeah.
I
I
can
mean,
see him doing it, but their center management in game one was really poor. Like, I mean, Luke
yes.
Cornett. I love Luke Cornett, but he didn't really.
I agree.
have-
I
Put
mean,
Al Horford in for 45 minutes a game. We're good.
I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
That's the key thing here with Joe Mazzulla and this coaching staff for the Celtics. You got to be careful with Al Horford's minutes. Al Horford played 34 minutes. Now, granted, yes, some of that is out of the control because of whatever viral thing or whatever Chow Ming Porzingis ate the night before. It unfortunately he goes out with an illness. And now you need to have Al Horford step up and play more like starters
I
minutes in the
mean,
second half.
you do have I'm thinking of the guy's name that was on the Grizzlies a few years ago.
Tillman?
Tillman. You still have Tillman
Yes,
on the team. He's
yeah.
still a good guy to go to, and you still have the guy that was on Phoenix a few years ago too. Forward
Again,
from the Phoenix Suns, came over to Boston and free agency during the middle of the year.
on Phoenix.
Yeah, he was part of that championship team in Phoenix. Hold on, let me look up the Celtics roster. I always get these two guys mixed up because they're both really good defensive presences for the Boston Celtics on the backup lineup. Give me 1 second while I look this up. Torrey Craig.
Torrey Craig. Yeah.
I thought we were talking big men still, so I was like, who are you talking about?
Well, I mean, like, you could still use him. You could, if you want to run a small lineup, you could still use him.
He's dating Nick and the Stallion. He's valid.
Yeah. So, I mean, like.
Put him in the Hall of Fame. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
You know, I mean, you got guys that you can put there. I mean, you put anybody on this Boston Celtics. I put Drew Holiday on Karl Anthony Towns. I guarantee you, he gives them a worse time than, Al Horford for 35 minutes a game. You know what I mean? You can put anybody on him at this point.
I have that DeMarcus Cousins image in my head.
For me here with the Knicks stealing game one, I mean, obviously shot selection for me, that was 45 missed threes, yes, NBA record, but a lot of those threes were wide open. To me, this was 100% an outlier shooting performance by the Boston Celtics. Like, they couldn't buy a shot. There were some possessions where Tatum and Brown really difficult shot selection. We're sitting here playing, sit there, hold the ball 10, 12, 15 seconds, and then try to go one-on-one. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, but can we not go back to 2022, please? Like that's all I gotta say there, because that's the problem I have with last night's game is the shot selection. I'm not saying the three they shot.
But the Celtics live and die on that. They live and die on that.
I don't disagree with that, but at some point in time, you have to go to the rim. I'm sorry. Third quarter yesterday, they shot 20 field goal attempts in the third quarter yesterday. One was inside the paint. Yep. The other 19 were around the 3-point line. At some point in time, you got to go to the rim if the 3-point shot isn't working. And so, me and you, CJ, we kind of talked about this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I said the same thing about the Clippers. You know what I mean? When the Clippers were on, I was praying that somebody went to the rim, and James Harden just kept on going to the rim, and I was like, "Thank you. It's about time."
Someone.
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the Celtics. I understand
Right.
what you're saying,
I
but
bet
I
you.
do have a question: is Kata playing in this series?
Nemes Keita did not play in game one.
That could be a potential stopper against Mr. Karl Anthony Towns. He could
I
give
mean,
him some problems.
neither did Tillman. Tillman didn't play. Torrey Craig didn't play. So it's like, you
They'll
got.
fix that. They'll fix that.
I thought the Torrey Craig pickup, that was a really good pickup.
I loved it when the Celtics picked up Tillman. That was my favorite pickup. I was like, that is a great pickup. I was like, that was the best move that you could have made. Get that defensive presence in so Tatum and Jalen get that little break. I mean, I loved that pickup, but they need to start using these guys more. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. A lot of things shooting wise, Celtics. A lot of the shots did not fall their way, even though they shot 63s. Wide open looks, missed them. And then you look on the other end, and this is something I had mentioned to you in the past, CJ, is you have a close ball game and Jalen Brunson's on the other side. Like, dude,
we said this, yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this. You do not want a close game with Jalen Brunson.
You don't want that man on the other side. You don't want him.
And they got the OG Anunoby game. OG Anunoby scored 29 points yesterday.
Yep.
Mikal Bridges, man. Talk about taking the game over in overtime yesterday, defensively and offensively. He did it on both sides of the floor. They got performances out of players outside of Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns didn't have a great game, but he didn't need to because other guys stepped up. And, you give kudos to the Knicks for stealing game one, but to me, Celtics were up 20 with 6 minutes left in the third, and they took their foot off the gas pedal immediately. No sooner that went 20 points, Thibodeau called a timeout, and what happened? 11-0 spurt right away. It wasn't 5-6 minutes and then an 11-0 spurt. No, it was an 11-0 spurt immediately, and it was single digits with under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. So it was a close, the Celtics gave away game one in a sense, but at the same time, though, the shots that we normally see them make, they did not make in game one, too. So things went the Knicks way that did not go the Celtics way in game one, which ultimately led to another underdog winning here in game one. So you guys have any other thoughts on this series?
Go ahead, Darren. Go ahead.
No, just because the Celtics, I expect one bad 3-point shooting game every playoff series, at least every playoff year. Yeah. And I'm glad it was game one instead of a certain Terry Rozier game in 2018. But get it out of the way. It happens. I expected this one every year. So, I think I agree. They should be. I don't know why they're so stubborn. I get it. You live and die by the three. But I think you got to make an adjustment at some point, especially when the game's getting closer.
Yeah, right. No, I agree with you, Darren. I think that the Celtics are still going to win the series, obviously. Knowing me, I'm a Boston Celtics fan. But if they don't fix what they did in game one and game two, it could easily get out of hand and it could easily go the other way. Like I said, when the Eastern Conference comes up, when it comes to powerhouses, I think that this is the third best team because I do think that Indiana is the second, like I said before. But they're right up. The Knicks are right up there with both of those teams in my eyes.
Yeah, don't disagree with you at all. And might I add, the Knicks shot 17 of 31 from the free throw line. Let me just add that one in there for you. They missed half of their free throws. Now, granted, yes, Mitchell Robinson shot quite a few of them. Mitchell Robinson had 10 free throw attempts in game one, which is wild. They did the hack Shaq and the hack of Steven Adams on Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson was plus 13 when he was on the floor. Enough said there.
Yeah.
I think we're all in. What? Go ahead, CJ.
So I'm gonna ask you guys now,
Yeah.
What do you guys got this series running?
Yeah, I'm biased too. Like you said, I'm from where you are, so as long as they make the adjustments, and I hate playing theoretics, I it could maybe be a 7-game series. I feel more comfortable saying Celtics in 6, but they got to make those adjustments, or that just negates everything I just said.
Yeah, it's a whole different game if they don't. I agree with you, Darren. Denzel?
Yeah, no, I agree with Darren 100% on that, because that's what I had, the Celtics in 6. I like you said, this series could go awry, and I mean, Jalen Brunson, once again, another proven player, and he can prove that he can show up in the clutch moments. And if you get close games like this within 5 points, the crunch time, the clutch time of the game, under 5, within a 5-point game, under 5 minutes to go, I picked the Knicks to win those close games, because it's like, I'm not saying the Celtics can't pull a close game out. I'm not saying that. But when you have the NBA's clutch player on the other side of the floor, and we saw what happened, like Jalen Brunson came in with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and immediately, it wasn't even like 10 seconds into the shot clock, he immediately put up a 3, and it was nothing but nylon. It was like,
Yeah.
dude, like, and this is where I wish the Pistons made an adjustment in the first round series. Is you let someone other than Jalen Brunson beat you. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta say there. You let
yeah,
someone
but
other than Jalen Brunson beat you.
yeah, but they had the best defensive matchup on Jalen Brunson. It was a sore Thompson.
Yeah, I know. And poor Sir Thompson, man, he had him going. He had him on ice skates, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean Jalen just made a really good move. That's what it
Yeah.
came down to.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, in that defensive scheme, I would have double teamed him. I would have double teamed him
Fair.
and said, someone else is beating me. Like, Carthy, okay, Cat hits the 3, so be it.
But who are you
Anunoby,
leaving?
Hart.
Who are you leaving open? Because, like I said, that starting lineup is loaded. It's not like they have somebody that they can go take off of somebody and put on Jalen Brunson.
I mean, if I was to leave someone wide open, it would be Josh Hart. Like,
Yeah, but like you can't do that because he's that core piece. You don't want him open. You know what I
oh yeah,
mean?
no, I mean, we saw that last night. There was a couple of times they left him open for 3 in the corner, and he hit
That's
both of them.
that's what I'm saying.
You just need
So,
visual
like,
in the game, like the whole game. That's the
Your
game.
your best option, as a Detroit Piston in that game was to put Asor Thompson on him and
yeah, oh
pray
yeah,
that Asor Thompson could guard him in that one given possession. And
oh yeah.
unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
I agree with the matchup. I think Sir Thompson was the right matchup for Jalen Brunson. He's a bigger, stronger, more lengthier. Like, Brunson has shown that he struggles against length. Heavy pressure length on him, and he made the right move at the right time, and he got himself a clean, wide open look for 3. And I mean, you give Brunson credit. I mean, this is what he does. He lives for these moments, and
He's a
so.
dog. He's a
Yeah,
dog.
absolutely. So
All right.
last,
Well,
yep, go ahead.
before you get into it, I'm gonna give you the segment that everybody loves to hear every single week from Mr. Live Zone. I'm gonna give you my matchup for the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. Listen. Fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson, Boston Celtics struggling. Reggie Miller still needs oxygen. Celtics in 7. Celtics in 7.
Just watch
There it
it.
is.
The
There it is for you
oxygen
guys. All
thing.
right.
Oh man, listen, Spike Lee still needs oxygen from that
Yeah.
moment.
No,
Too.
no,
Yeah.
Spike Lee
Yeah.
didn't say anything. It's misunderstanding. Guys, come on.
The New York
Yo,
Knicks fans know what I'm talking about.
yeah. Oh man, Spike
That
Lee knew he
documentary was
messed
just
up.
on today. I was just watching that.
Spike Lee knew he messed up when he messed with Reggie. I'm sorry, man. Like,
Yeah.
but as we get into the last part of this segment here, the last matchup, Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And as we speak right now, Golden State is up 20 on the Timberwolves in game 1 here early in the third quarter. It has been the Timberwolves have only scored 35 points in 27 minutes of play. Like, I
Makes
mean,
sense.
for me, when we look at this series, I think of one or two players that need to prove themselves. And listen, both proven players, they both have had phenomenal performances in the playoffs. And for me, I'll start this one off. For me, I have Jimmy Butler. I mean, how good would a Jimmy Butler ring go? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who I can't arguably say that he doesn't deserve to win a ring. This guy has had great performances in the playoffs. I'm not saying like, but to me, a Jimmy Butler, like him winning a ring would be monstrous for his career. And so this would put him not only in the Brotherhood of Champions, but I mean, I'm not gonna, borderline Hall of Famer. Just gonna say it right
Borderline?
now.
Borderline?
Borderline.
Oh, Jimmy
I mean, if
Butler's
you
more
want to
than
say, I mean,
borderline.
Again, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame, gold
Yeah.
medal.
Listen,
It's not that hard.
yeah.
listen. I ain't gonna shy away from Jimmy Butler being an all-time talent because I'm not gonna go there. I could see that borderline part. But when we talk about a Hall of Famer, I think Jimmy Butler's already there. I really do. I think that time that he had in Miami, and what he did for the Miami Heat organization
Mm.
during those last few years. I mean, he has 2 finals appearances. 2, right? It is 2,
Yeah.
right?
In 20,
Yeah. One was against LeBron, and then the other one was against
Nuggets.
yeah, and then the other one was against Nuggets. I mean, I think he's already there. I really do. I mean, I think he has more of a case than a guy like Derrick Rose right now.
Oh yeah, Derrick Rose is a tricky.
Derrick Rose never made it to a finals.
I feel like Derrick Rose.
But Derrick Rose is going to be Derrick Rose is automatically going to get in because he's an MVP. You know what I mean? And that's nothing to take away from Derrick Rose. I think if Derrick Rose didn't get hurt, I think he's one of the best players ever. But, looking at what his career was, I think Jimmy Butler's already above that.
Yeah, no, not to. I mean, CJ and I had a bit banter about. I couldn't stand the whole Miami Heat situation. That was weird, in my opinion, on both ends. However you feel fit about that, but I mean, I can acknowledge that. I think he is definitely the catalyst for why the Warriors bounced back this season. And while, yeah, I mean, the pressure is on because I look at the Warriors. They're getting to their last dance phase with this group. Clay's already gone. Draymond, he's not getting younger. Curry's definitely not getting any younger. So I'd say this and next season, that's it for the Warriors. So while I look at a team like the Timberwolves, CJ, give me that face. It all depends on age, injuries.
It does, but it also depends on if they're slowing down or not, too. And I don't think Curry's slowing down.
Curry, who's that? But no. Yeah, no, it's my point. Like Timberwolves, I see, they're still young. I do expect. I feel like their team kind of didn't get worse, but there were some noticeable differences going into this year from last year. So I still feel like this was a weird season. I would like to see them make a finals run. That'd be great. But I'm not going to hold it against them if they don't and they lose in a believable fashion. But yeah, the Warriors, I think, if they want to get Curry one more ring, there's still time, but I would say do it now rather than later.
I don't think there's time, brother. If you're saying that there's 2 years left, I don't think that there's any time because it's Celtics time. That's exactly what it is.
That's a quick
But
change.
but I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm surprised that you guys both went on the Golden State Warriors. And listen, I think that there is one obvious player that needs to perform in this series, and it's Julius Randle. It is Julius Randle. He cannot have a typical New York series where he was playing in the New York Knicks and freaking drop a goose egg every once in a while. He cannot do that here in Minnesota. He needs to perform for them to win. He like you said, Denzel, last week, hey, Julius Randle had a hell of a series last series.
Yeah.
He can't have a goose egg in this series. He can't shit the bed against the Golden State Warriors. He needs to perform in this series for Minnesota to win. And honestly, if he does, I could see them end up winning. But because we know what Julius Randle is accustomed to doing in the playoffs, I doubt it. I doubt it a lot, to be honest with you.
I mean, I can't talk you off of the Julius Randle I really can't, because I the only thing I rebuttal Julius Randle with is, I mean, he looked great in the first series. Like, no doubt in my mind, like, absolutely, like, clearly was a problem in a matchup nightmare for the LA Lakers, but I think anyone would be a matchup nightmare for the Lakers. But with that being said, um, I was taken back by how little Julius Randle's ever been playing in the playoffs. And Randle's been in the playoffs. Now, granted, here's another player who's been in the league 10 seasons. Him and Karl Anthony Towns came in the same year in 2015, and he's only been in 4 playoff series in his career. 4. This is his 4th playoff series he's in. And I mean, he shot so well in the first. He shot 39% from 3 in that first series against the Lakers. Like 39% from 3. He went 11 of 28 shooting the 3. He went 53% from the field. He averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in those games. And so, yes, it's the Lakers. Yes, Timberwolves are bigger and stronger. I do like the idea of it, Julius Randle having something to prove, because we know he is what I like to call a bull in a china shop. He gets he has these moments where, like, I mean, you two have seen it. You guys have seen the tapes before, like, where
I'm a fan of Randall. I understand it.
yeah, it's like the 4-on-1 fast break. Oh, I'm gonna take it myself. And it's like, dude, someone else is open, man. Like, there's people in front of you wide open who have a better shot selection than you do, and you decide to take the shot. And to me, him taking a step back to Anthony Edwards in that first round series against the Lakers and letting the game come to him, dude, he continues to do that. Dude, the sky's the limit for this Timberwolves team. And so
He can either look like the next Kevin Garnett, because he has that attitude like Kevin Garnett at times.
Yeah.
Or he can look like the next JaVale McGee. It's literally one. Which Julius Randle is going to show up tonight? That's the problem with Minnesota right now, because now they're running into a situation where it's like, hey, Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, so you guys have some trouble now. You know what I mean? So Julius just needs to perform. That's what it comes down to.
He was also traded for Cat, so he needs to give him that scoring. You know,
exactly.
You forget that. You know, like, you need to output that. You know, you need to provide. I mean, he, like you said, he is the most interesting player because he can be on it, or he can just be completely off it. And he's not, like, no disrespect to the guy. If he's off it, you know, I'm not match up with like Draymond.
JaVale McGee.
Yeah, that's
what it comes down to. Yeah, I mean,
yo, dude, JaVale McGee, dude. Oh my gosh.
3-time champion. Don't disrespect.
No, absolutely.
Hall of Famer.
So before we head into the next segment, what you guys got for the series? I know that this one is a little 50-50, so I want to know what you guys got.
This is a coin flip. Like you said, it's a coin flip series for sure. This series could go either way, even though clearly right now the Warriors look to be superior right now in game 1. But once again, we're overreacting. There's still time left. They're down 17 halfway through the third quarter. We look at the comeback we've seen.
We started tonight.
Look at the comebacks we've seen so far in the first game of this second round series. We've had a bunch of comebacks by the road team. To think we could if Golden State holds on and wins this, we could go 4 for 4. The road team wins 4 for 4 in game 1 of the second round of the playoffs. I don't have the stats on me on that, but I would have to look up when the last time that happened. The road team won game 1 in all 4 semifinal series in the playoffs. But for me, coin toss. Give me Ant-Man, dude. I love Ant-Man so much, dude. Like, this guy is awesome to watch. like you said earlier, CJ, he's got an MJ mentality. He's got a killer instinct on the floor. And like it doesn't matter who's matched up against him. He just brings his he brings his best every night. And granted, tonight, not his best, 2 of 13 tonight shooting, but just because I love your take on Julius Randle. I want to see him do well as well, and I think if he continues to do what he's doing, and Ant-Man continues to lead this team, as much as we painfully, some of us on this show do not like Gobert, but as much as we painfully like to say that, I mean, give me the Timberwolves in 7.
All right. Darren, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in a similar. I don't like to rate game ones in general, like filling out a series. I mean, I've seen LeBron lose like 20 million votes, and it doesn't. It's just a bad way to evaluate a series. I think they could get blown out by 20, and I just feel like if you give Ant a reason to step up, and he will take it and run with it. So yeah, I can definitely see Wolves in 7 here if they can, regardless of the outcome, because there could be a comeback. I don't know. Game one will probably end in a loss for them. But just like I said, give them a reason. I think they'll step up. Field out game. Warriors are a gritty team. You just gotta. I think I can feel a 7-game series here, and it does feel like a coin flip.
All right. I love to hear it because Denzel, first episode that you were on Dynamics on the Hardwood. Do you remember what I said?
I remember you saying that it was war. You said something about Warriors and Nuggets being like the 2 best teams in the West or something like that. I do remember you saying something like that.
Yes, sir. Listen, I'm gonna go against the grain here on you guys. I'm gonna go with the Golden State Warriors. Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry and Draymond Green are coming for something to prove. The Celtics are going to go to the NBA Finals, I do think. I do think that the Celtics will get there. I think whether it's the Nuggets or the Warriors, I've been saying this since the trade. Darren, we've talked about this too. We've texted back and forth on this. It's gonna be the Nuggets or the Warriors that the Celtics match up with, and whatever team that ends up being, I do see this being one of the best finals that we have seen.
I stand by my
NBA history.
Wolves.
Yeah.
That's what I.
Yeah, I
totally knew that was gonna happen.
I have Golden State. I do see I'm gonna say this. I see what you're saying with the Game 7 situation, but Steph Curry's on the other side. The second best point guard ever is on the other side with a guy that is also MJ mentality as his sidekick. I'm gonna say the Golden State Warriors in 6.
No, can't talk you off of that for sure. I mean,
you can try.
As we're looking at this, Timberwolves have tightened it up. It's a 13. Oh, nope. Said that too fast. Said that way too fast. So no comeback is coming yet. So
wait till the fourth quarter, boys.
Yeah. As I say that, Jimmy Butler hoists up a bank shot, a 3, hoists up a bank shot 3, and it's back to a 16-point lead.
You're not winning.
Listen. I'm gonna go back to a few days ago for everybody that was watching East Coast Sports Investors. You watch my guy Jeff Dawson. He said, "Listen, it's time for these guys to go. It's time for the Kawhis, the LeBrons, the Stephs. Their time is coming." And I do agree with that. I agree with Jeff Dawson 110% on that. But it's not time yet. At the end of this year, I understand it. At the end of this year, I agree with it. But right now, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, they're going for one more. They're going for Jimmy's first ring. And they're going to run into either a Denver Nuggets team that is going to be very hard to get past or an OKC team that is going to be very easy to get past. So it's one of those two options.
Yeah, we keep saying next gen, next up, but they're all going to play 4 more years, and it's never going to end. So I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Listen, hey, we could see them play another 4 years, but who's going to decline and who's going to incline? You know what I mean? That's That's what the game is about. We're going to see the Jason Tatums, the Joel Embiids, the Nikola Jokic's, the Jamal Murrays, and all them. They're going to start rising up as those main guys. We're seeing it now. And then the Steph Currys and everything, they're going to drop a little bit. They're going to still be top 10 players, but they're just not going to be what they were.
Okay. Now we're good. All right. We got to move on because that segment, man, I tell you right now, there was a lot to talk about there. But we're going to get into something a little very interesting with Tyrese Haliburton's dad here, who is supposedly banned from games from the foreseeable future. So, CJ, I'm coming to you on this. Obviously, we know about the incident with Giannis and him and the towel and yay and all, whatever, right? And you kind of given me snippets of what your take is on this.
Oh, he's giving me. I don't want to. I'm gonna hear this again.
I love it.
I mean, do you think that Tyrese Haliburton's dad is in the right to be on the floor and be disrespectful, as some people would say? Do you think this is part of the game? And lastly, did Giannis handle it the right way?
All right, so that's an interesting third question. Listen, I think that it shouldn't even matter if he's on the court or not. We look at the 80s generation in basketball. When the Boston Celtics or LA Lakers beat each other, they were running all over the court. It didn't matter if you were a dad, a mom, a fan, a little kid. It didn't matter. They were all partying either way. Yeah. So that part is completely ridiculous. I think that is I think that that's just part of the game, like you said. I really do. And I think that, I don't know if you guys watched this. Did you guys watch Shaq afterwards? Shaq and Charles Barkley go at it. All right. Well, I completely agree with Shaquille O'Neal on this. When it came down to it, Giannis lost. It is what it is. But this is part of the game, okay? This is part of basketball in general. When you win and you're an underdog, because Giannis is Giannis. When you're an underdog in this series, yeah, people are gonna celebrate. Yeah, people are gonna put it in your face. As one of the best players in the league, for you to cry about it on national television, I don't agree with that. I think that you're telling me we didn't see that with Shaquille O'Neal when the Detroit Pistons beat them and everything like that. You're telling me that we didn't see that with Shaq and the Houston Rockets, the fans when they lost Houston and they got swept. I mean, come on. Like, what are we really talking about? He was just being a crybaby. He was trying to get his way on something because he lost the game and he lost the series. Now, when it comes to the suspension, I think that is totally irresponsible by the Indiana Pacers organization. I could see if it was just like a fine or if it was a few games, but to say the foreseeable future. Yeah. I mean, if I'm Tyrese Haliburton, I'm asking for a trade. I don't care what it is. Like you're not gonna take away the most important part of the game towards me. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, they do this so they can see their parents. Like they've gone through hell, they've gone through everything that they've gone through, and came up and did everything. And this is why a lot of players do this. Like the players play the game so they can play in front of their families and stuff. And you're going to take that away from your star player. It made no sense to me. But I completely agree with Shaquille O'Neal on this. I understand that we're in a very soft generation nowadays. I understand that the game is a hell of a lot different than it was in the 80s and 90s. But at the end of the day, Giannis just got to grow up. That's what it comes down to.
So I'm not going to disagree, but I do have a different, I guess, ideology behind it. I think, listen, I could honestly care less if I'm not there. And I get it. There are rules in place, after the whole Mouse of the Palace, Pacers, they know it well. So yeah, it's
Yeah, but
not.
this was nothing like the Malice of the Palace. You weren't having people. You had a star player come in like Dad's face and have a conversation. It wasn't like it was a Malice in the Palace situation where a
They're gonna.
player was hitting a fan. Like
They're
that's
gonna.
not what this was.
You can't like. I mean, the dad was taunting him,
Uh,
and Giannis can
yeah,
ignore it.
it's a
Like,
taunt,
yeah, you.
bro.
But like the thing is, like that's not allowed. You can't just like nowadays. You can't just walk up to players. So I think it was dumb on both ends. And I get it. You're celebrating a series, and they beat the Bucks, who they have a rivalry with, starting last season with the whole when Giannis had his career high. They took the ball for the rookie who I'm forgetting his name.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay, all
that
right.
began the hatred between the two. And I look at 2 years back to back beating them. You say underdog. I mean, the Pacers were technically the better team and better seed.
Yeah,
Obviously,
but they
Tyrese
were the
played a big
underdog.
part in it, but Giannis was playing really well coming into that series. So I
Yeah.
did personally expect a little more out of him. But I don't know. I just see it as like I said, I don't really care that he did it. There was also Giannis before with the whole like he was fighting with the other Pacers player, with Benedict, I think it was. He like tapped his head or something, was trying to sun him, whatever the. So there was heat of the moment again, and I mean Tyrese, he kind of accepted. I see what you're saying, CJ. Like if you mishandle that situation, I'd be upset. But I mean, he seemed pretty adamant that his dad was in the wrong. So I understand. I agree. A fine probably would have been if he started swinging, then different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Swinton was involved, that's a
banter.
different story. I completely agree with you. But to hang up a what was it? It was like one of
It's like
those
a
things that you
towel or
yeah, it was like a
something. Yeah.
towel. It was
With
one
the
of those
son's
things that you
face
hang
on
up
it.
on the wall after
Right.
you get a game, and it had Tyrese Haliburton's face on it, and saying, "This is what we effing do." Like that's nothing compared to a Malice in the Palace situation. Like
I'm
I
not saying it's the
understand.
same, but it's like the rules they have in place.
Yeah, but like I understand if I understand if it's different because of like if somebody swung or something like that. But to just say this is what we effing do and have a picture of his son on a towel and going like this with it for Giannis to be like that wasn't right and to put that on national television. I mean, come on. What
I
are we
think
really talking about?
the whole
You know what I
Giannis,
mean?
like I love Giannis, one of the best players past, since we've gotten like involved in basketball, watching it, hands down. But I feel like every year it's something at the end of the season that like I just don't know how to grasp. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to judge somebody for being like emotional after a game. This whole thing a couple years ago about not feeling like a failure for losing. I respect all that, being able to be open about. But like, I feel like every year
Yeah.
it's something with Giannis, and it's
Yes.
like it's kind of LeBron-esque, where it's a little dramatic. And I don't. I mean, we're all a little dramatic, but I don't know what to say. It's like it's always something. And I don't know
Yeah.
how that paints his player. Like he's honest. I'll give him that, but I don't know. It just seemed a little like he lost the series.
It was him being a crybaby. That's what it was. He was pouting. He was pouting about the loss.
The
That
whole
that
thing
I
is like
mean,
I won a championship, they haven't. Like how I
yeah,
feel about the
like
ring argument. Like yeah, it just seems kind of like
but you could make the same argument for the Indiana Pacers. They just beat their rival and this guy's a champion. You know what I mean? So
I mean they'll be quick
like
to blame the whole like the Dame injury, which was very unfortunate. Again, we talked about injuries already and how
yeah.
we can't base that
Yeah.
on everything. Because again, Giannis was playing really well coming into that
Yeah.
series, a lot better than he was last year. Because he was
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 110% on that. But I'm just saying, when it comes down to this situation, Giannis was the one that handled it poorly. He was the one that got in the guy's face for a taunt. I mean, this reminds me. Do you guys remember when Kobe Bryant retired and we kept on getting those Kobe Bryant commercials and the one where he was like going like this with the music and the fans were like saying that he hates them and stuff like that? Like that this is part of the game. This is what we do this for. You know what I mean? You lost. Oh well, get over it. Go into the offseason and get better. That's what this game is about. So for me, I just saw it as, hey, Giannis was just being a crybaby and was trying to get something out of nothing. That's what it was. He saw the team, it was in shambles, they lost the series, he was pouting, and then after that he tried getting something out of it with Tyrese Haliburton's dad and having to confront him for a little taunt. Because if this wasn't Haliburton's dad, do you think that he would have confronted him?
playing.
No.
I mean, I think of
No. No, he wouldn't have. He would have ignored it, right? So like
I think
it's
the
one of
hard
those
thing,
situations.
like him being on the like if this was the regular season, whole different story. But like I get him being on the court. You know, you just won a playoff series. You know, I've seen players jump up on the table
Yeah.
and celebrate for winning round one, so I can't not justify people celebrating on the court. But yeah, it's a weird situation.
We've
Honestly.
seen Patrick Beverly jump on
Oh yeah,
the scores
Ian, like,
table after winning a play-in tournament game, dude. Like they
Yes.
won the
Yes.
title,
This
dude.
is
Like,
what I'm
what are we
saying,
doing?
bro. This is what I'm saying.
Uh,
And like
right.
Tyrese Haliburton's dad was celebrating. He was celebrating by saying, "Hey, this is my son. This is what we do here in Indiana." And as a rival to Giannis didn't like that, and Giannis went up to Tyrese Haliburton's dad and confronted him. He went up to. It wasn't Haliburton's dad that went up to Giannis and got in his face. It was Giannis that went up to Haliburton's dad's face. So like he could have easily ignored it, but he decided not to. He decided to go
So,
up in his face and say something. That's on Giannis. That's not on his dad. That's where I'm at with it.
okay. Two things. One, like, I agree it's part of the game, but where I have an issue is where you say I wasn't looking at Giannis. To be standing in front of him with the towel, looking at Giannis,
Yeah.
he went on a local news station and went, "Oh, I wasn't looking at Giannis. I was looking through him." The dude's 7 feet. How do you not see him? Like, you know what I'm
Well,
saying? Like,
no. He had to say something because he just
I don't
apologized.
I don't
You know what I
disagree that
mean?
he had to say like, but to say that you didn't see him, you're clearly looking at him. Giannis is gonna see you. I feel bad for Giannis in the sense that, yeah, we could say Giannis is proud and we could say all these things. Giannis was trying to take in the moment because he possibly could have just been playing his last game as a Milwaukee Buck, and he wants to stay there. That's the problem. And for him to try and take in losing a series, maybe not putting on that jersey ever again, and we got some heckling dad coming on the court and busting him for it. I'm not saying that, like, okay, Halliburton's dad is like, I thought it was a little disrespectful in a way because you had to get out on the
But
court
that's
and
the
say
game,
something
though.
to Giannis and show him that you're there, rather than being like, "Yo, man, great series. I'll talk to you later." Blah blah blah. Like, instead, you got to get on the court and get in the face of an NBA player, and like, they got I'm not saying they would have swung. I'm not saying any of that. If it got physical, I agree. Then that's a totally different
Yeah.
scenario. And that's where I think Giannis handled it with a lot of class because, like, he could have easily have just, like, I'm telling
But
you,
but did he? But did he handle
no,
it with class though? Because he went up to him. You know what I mean,
yeah, he went up to him, but when you got 30 cameras on you, plus
bro?
the drone cameras up in the
Am
rafters,
I
bro,
the
like,
only?
everyone's gonna see that.
Am I the only one that grew up watching 90s and 2000s basketball? Am I the only one that did here? Because that's an every game situation in the 90s and 2000s. They were all
Yeah,
taunting, they
like
were
A
all getting in
dad getting
people's
on the
faces.
floor, a dad
Bro,
getting on the floor after a game, after losing
after
a
a
game.
series? After a series, you're telling me that people
I,
didn't
I,
flood
I,
the scene?
CJ, give me the tape. I want to see the tape,
it's
dude, because
Bro,
I have
I
go
think
never
look at the
seen that.
80s. Go look
problem
at the
is
80s version of basketball, bro. Whenever
we
somebody won a series between a rivalry, everybody was on the floor celebrating. It's
but
it's
celebrate like I
part of the
genuinely
game,
I
bro.
can't think of
I'm not.
any like
Yeah, no,
moment
I'm not
where
saying it isn't.
a guy was like generally verbally talking to somebody on the court. Like on the sideline, I've seen that plenty of time with fans and players. But like,
Because
well,
because
can you
80s
give me an
basketball
example?
players didn't go on national television and said, "Hey, he said something to me and I didn't like it." No, instead they say, "Hey, we played like pussies. We'll be back next season."
But I mean, you can
That's
also blame the
I
media on
mean,
that for recording it and making it bigger than it was. Yeah, his comments didn't help. But like, I feel like back in the '80s, like yeah, you saw plenty. Like I know Celtics fans were rushing the court every time any
that's
Larry
what I'm
Bird stuff. But like, I
saying.
don't like. Yeah, people said stuff to Magic, but like he was just had a different personality. You know, like he didn't. he embraced that like hatred between Boston and LA. So
But
like I guess that's more of a,
that was I'm
is
trying
that
to
more of a
think
Giannis
of
problem or
I'm
or an
trying to
NBA
think of
problem?
a word for it. I'm trying to that was the maturity of a guy like Magic Johnson or a guy like Shaquille O'Neal that dealt with stuff like that. You know what I mean? That instead of saying something, they just went to the back, got better next season, and showed up better next season. That like Giannis didn't have to cry about this. Maybe it's me looking at it as a Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant mentality because when it comes to basketball, that's how I look at things. But like Giannis didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to go up to Halliburton's dad. He didn't have to do anything. He could have just gone to the back, got better next season, and showed up better next season and beat the Indiana Pacers. That's what this game is about. That's what this game is. That's the adrenaline rush of basketball is getting better next season because somebody said something to you that you didn't like or somebody beat you that you didn't want to beat you. That's the whole point of basketball. That's the whole point of the NBA and NBA stars. That's what puts them at a different level. So for me, I'm just looking at it as, hey, Giannis is better than this. We know Giannis can go out and give you 20 and 10 a night. But the thing is he needed to go out and give you that 40-point game or that 30-point game to win this series, and he didn't do it. So he needs to go get stronger in the offseason, better at his free throw shooting, better at his three-point shot, and then come back and beat Indiana next season. But no, he wants to go out and cry on television instead, saying that his dad said that a swear word to him. I mean, like, come on, what are we really talking about?
I agree. Like I just feel like that makes it more of a Giannis thing than like I just see the Pacers. They were probably doing what they were told. You know,
Yeah.
how Tyrese and his dad handled it. That's up to them. And I agree. It's a different era. It's
But
definitely not as
but
hard nosed as it was.
his dad turned around like his dad didn't mean anything by his dad didn't mean to get in a confrontation with them or anything like that. It was supposed to be meant as a hey, we won, we'll see you next year. And because he said this is what we effing do, Giannis took it a certain type of way, went on national television and cried about it, and the next thing you know, Halliburton's dad is banned from games. I mean, that
Now,
doesn't make any sense.
That just sounds like NBA politics. Genuinely,
Yeah,
like I
it
can't.
makes
There's
no
nothing we can
sense.
do about. You know, it happened how it happened. But I
Yeah,
agree.
it
I
makes no
mean,
sense.
Giannis could have just walked away, and
Yeah,
different story.
exactly. He could
But
have walked away and
I
came
agree
back
on that
better.
regard.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
a silly
I mean,
situation, and it's getting way too much media attention, if anything.
yeah.
now let me ask you guys this question: if this, like, let's just say this happens on the floor, Giannis walks away, but says something in the back, like not in front of cameras, in the back. If he's dapping up Halliburton, like they dapped up on the court, but he meets up and talks with Halliburton after the game in the back locker rooms, in the back corridors there, and then he says something to his dad. Then are we having the same conversation? That's my
Brother,
only thing.
brother, why is he saying anything to him to begin with? He should be using that as an input. He should be using that as frustration. He should be using that as fire and adrenaline to be better next season. He shouldn't be saying anything. He should be walking off, coming back next season, and throwing a freaking fist in their mouth next season and winning a series instead of saying, hey, I didn't like what was said.
Yeah, I feel like if you were to do it after
Look at the 90s version of basketball. You think Michael Jordan cried about the Detroit Pistons hitting them and stuff? No, he went to the gym and he got better. That's what happened. And he showed up the next season, and what happened? He had a three-peat after that, right?
Jordan rules. Sorry.
You know what I
I'm trying
mean?
to start something,
I
but
just, yeah, I know. I think where there's the turbulence is like yes, it's a part of the game. You're gonna get heckled by people and all these things, but at the same time, though, like to, I'm not saying he's disrespectful. I'm not saying any of those things because it's part of the game. You're gonna get heckled. I mean, look at this. We saw Doncic get tossed out by a heckling fan, and he yapped at the fan, and the ref was just right in the line
It's
of
just
fire.
soft.
Went,
It's
see ya, like
just
that's,
soft.
yeah,
That's
like,
what it is.
and so I mean,
soft
it's always going to
generation
be a part of the
basketball.
game that, like, these guys are on the floor to play for the fans. The fans are the reasons why they're getting paid the big bucks. Um, and so I don't disagree with like 90% of it. It's just, to me, I struggle with, like, if you're Halliburton's dad, why do you need to go? Like, it's obvious you won the series, but you don't need to walk on the court in front of someone's face and like let them know about it.
Bro,
Like,
it's
I'm like,
part of the
that's where I'm at with that.
game.
Like, it's like we already know we lost, dude. Like, Giannis is now got to contemplate the decision of, if I'm going to stay in a Bucks uniform again, because he might not play for the Bucks
Y'all
ever
too nice.
again.
You
And
guys
so
too
it's like,
nice.
I'm not saying Giannis isn't soft. We've seen the childish version of Giannis. We saw the scene with Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a few moments there with Jaylen Brown and Al Horford. Sorry, saw that movie, Elbow.
Yeah.
That's like, so we've seen the childish, has this childish way come back around and hit him in the head. I could say yes to that in a sense in this scenario, absolutely. But like,
Don't forget
you,
about James Harden when he threw the ball at his face.
there's another one. I mean, I
You
like,
know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. There's a
Giannis
few
is
with
just
Giannis. There's a
known.
few, and it's like, and like Darren said, like, here we go, another Giannis thing. Like, once a
Yeah.
year we hear something about
Yes.
Giannis, and here it is. And
Yes.
maybe if this was done behind closed doors instead of with 40, 50 cameras on you, I think we would be having a completely different conversation here. And I think Halliburton's dad would be sitting there heckling Donovan Mitchell on the Cleveland sideline there. Like, I think this would
There's
be a different
only
story if it was handled differently.
there's only two people that should have known that he was upset about it, and it should have been one, his coach, and two, his trainer. And they should have been
Well,
training
that's
him
a
for
lot of
next
faith in
season.
Doc Rivers. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't trust him to
Fair
talk
enough.
to
Fair
Giannis
enough.
at
Fair
all.
enough.
It's too
No,
much
no, no, no,
faith
no, no,
in
no.
Doc.
Fair
It's
enough.
too
Fair
much.
enough. But the main person that should have known that he was upset was his trainer, because now you go and use this as the fire for your training for next season. That's literally how it goes. You get pissed
Oh
off,
yeah.
you use that as adrenaline for next season, and you come back better. And
How
that's
tall?
not what Giannis is doing, because everything is televised and said in camera nowadays. And he cried about it in a press conference. I mean, that's what it comes down
How
to.
tall is Giannis? How tall is he?
About 7 feet.
I feel like if I was 7 feet, I'd just probably laugh at everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And
Thank you. Thank
who's
you.
making all the money? Who's making the
Darren, high
money?
five.
I'm just saying. Listen. I've been 5'9" for like a million years.
I mean, we literally saw this with a player-and-player interaction last season. I mean, Anthony Edwards literally got in Kevin Durant's face and started heckling him, and then after that, Kevin Durant just smiled and walked it off because he's Kevin Durant. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Giannis is Giannis. He could have walked this one off, but
There's a
he didn't. He
trade-off.
decided to get in a
Maybe on
fan's face. In a
Maybe on
fan's
social
face.
media is where he gets his, that's where he gets all his.
I hear you.
press
I
out.
hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you got me on board with taking this and using this as motivation for next season, especially when you go up against Indiana and you face in Giannis faces them, whether he's in a Bucks uniform or not. You're gonna remember that moment. I mean,
Yes.
look at what Jordan. Look, Jordan made up crap. Jordan
Yeah,
made up
literally.
stuff to get back at
Literally.
people. Like the whole
Dude,
the whole
the Blazers
Bradford
didn't
Smith
draft
story.
him.
Like,
The Blazers did not draft him, and he said, "You're gonna regret that. I'm gonna
Dale
take this
Bowie was
personal
great
for my
to me.
whole career. I'm gonna take this personal for my whole career, and I'm gonna shut you guys down for my
Dale
whole
Bowie
career."
was the logical pick, no doubt. They didn't need a shooting guard.
I understand. I understand.
Greg Oden
But
was
like,
also better than Kevin
but
Durant.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He didn't have to take that personal, but he did, and he showed up every game against the Blazers after that. It wasn't a conversation. He said he walked into the building and he said, "Who's guarding me?" They said Clyde, and he said, "Oh, well, there's 40." That's how Michael Jordan was.
That's an underrated.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is Giannis could have easily took it personal and he could have used it to motivate him, but instead he wanted to cry about it. And that's the problem that I have
Yeah.
with it, is that he had to go cry about it on television in a press conference to other fans that don't really give a you know what about it, and after that it got to the NBA. So like that's the thing that I have a problem with.
Listen, when he goes to the Lakers next season and they
He's not going to the Lakers. All right. Anyways.
for AR Dalton,
All right.
first round pick.
All right. So we're gonna be right back real quick. We got a little sponsor ad for you. Atlanta Seafood and Steaks. If you haven't gone and gotten a box yet, I recommend you to. I think they're better than Omaha Steaks, and that's just me personally, but I know that's a hot take. But anyways, we'll be right back, and make sure as always you stay tuned.
Welcome to Good Food. At Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, you'll find the highest quality meats from a variety of delicious cuts, tomahawks, salmon fillets, ribeyes, and plenty more to choose from. With an easy-to-use mobile-friendly website, selecting your pick of meat is made quick and easy. And don't forget, worrying about your dinner is a thing of the past. Check out some of the amazing subscription packages that Atlanta Steaks and Seafood has to offer. Fresh steak and seafood straight to your door. Order online at atlantasteaksandseafood.com.
All right. Welcome back, people. Here we go. Dynamics on the hardwood. We're gonna get into some players that are underrated. And we're not just talking about the playoffs, but we're talking the league overall. Who are the most underrated players in today's NBA? And CJ, I'm gonna start with you, my brother. Who do you think, or do you have a small list of players that you think are very underrated in this league?
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at underrated, it really just depends on how we're looking at underrated. Are we looking underrated right now, or are we looking underrated in NBA history? Because if we're looking at underrated in NBA history, the two guys that I got are both from the Denver Nuggets, actually. I have Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray. I think that both of those guys are underrated in the NBA right now, but also that have made history. But if I'm looking at guys that are on the up and coming, that are underrated and not being looked at as they should, I'm looking at the two rookies. I'm looking at Amen and Asor Thompson. Those guys, I think they have the capability of being stars. I think that Asor actually has that chance to be that number 2 guy in the Detroit Pistons system. And I think that Amen Thompson really, if we're being honest, Amen Thompson has the abilities to be that number 1 guy in Houston. So I look at those guys as the guys right now that haven't made history yet, that are being overlooked, not getting enough love. I know that they're getting some love, but not enough, because they're both defensive minded, and I don't understand that as a basketball player. But I think that those two guys are the guys that I look at.
Yeah, I try to look more kind of like right now, but that's a good insight. Like overall, I think I'm trying to, because I think a problem with the NBA is that they're so focused on the same names, and we don't let other players blossom into this kind of star role. And I think we can look at plenty of players who have had that momentum, and they're still putting up consistent numbers, and they don't get the respect they deserve. I was talking
Joe
about
Ingles.
He was a baller. No, you threw me right off my track, man.
Sorry.
No, I was thinking like, let's look at like all-star reserves. I can't speak. Like Pascal Siakam. I mean, he has been a quality player since I think 2019.
I like it.
Won his first championship with the Raptors, and I mean, he was an all-star this year, 3-time all-star overall. I think he's been a consistent player for, I'd say, the last 6 years, and I feel like he doesn't get enough talked about. I mean, maybe I'm biased. Like I said, I've kind of taken on the Pacers as the local team. They love him in Indianapolis. Like I said, all-star this year. Fans love that kind of stuff. But yeah. I feel like I haven't heard anything about him, and he had a really good stretch before the playoffs.
Nah, I agree. I agree with you.
Not talked about. I'm also biased because we talked about Aaron Naismith before, who has a very similar name to me, played for Boston. And people talked about how he was like, because they traded Malcolm Brogdon for him. And they said, oh, well, lopsided trade, Celtics hit Brogdon. But he's turned into quite the role player, and I think Celtics would love a player like him right now.
I
Just
think
shifty guard off the bench.
I think that Pascal Siakam is on the second best championship run that we have seen in that decade. I think only behind the Dallas Mavericks team. I think I put the Toronto Raptors in that number 2 spot. So I understand what you're saying with Pascal
Dude,
Siakam. I agree
Game
completely.
1, didn't he have like 41 points against the Warriors?
Literally, yeah.
It was a big. Without him, that series doesn't go the same way. Even though Kawhi was as good as he was that year, huge reason they were able to.
Was Bismack Biyombo still on that team? I forget.
I think he was gone at that point. I remember him like on the DeMar team.
Oh, on the 2019 Toronto team? No, he was not on that team.
It was Marc Gasol. That's who it was.
Marc Gasol.
Oh, I was so happy when they traded for him and he got his ring,
Yes.
mid-season. I feel bad for Valanciunas though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that roster right now and I see Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka was on that roster, Danny Green, Kyle Lowry, Jeremy Lin, OG Anunoby. Like,
that team was loaded.
Norman Powell.
Norman Powell was on that team?
Yeah, Norman Powell was on that 2019
He's a champion,
Toronto.
bro. I love that.
I'm trying to remember what he got traded for after, but
that's another guy. That's another guy I'll put in my list as Norman Powell. I think homie is
Norman
very
Powell
underrated.
was on that roster.
I think that he's underrated too. So that's my third guy. That's my third guy is Norman Powell.
We've lost the art of just like we're so focused on big threes and super teams now that you can generally be successful. Like you said, mentioned the 11 Mavs, who I think is a super underrated, well-rounded team. Everybody talks about Dirk, but that had some guys on it. Same with the Raptors in 2019. Like you are as good off if you have just general well-roundedness. Like I said, Danny Green shooting off the bench. You got good big men in the rotation. But I just feel we don't see that a lot. I mean, I guess the Pacers are kind of like that right now, where they're not focused as much on superstar talent.
Was that his second year, Pascal Siakam, that was on that team?
I think in 2018, because he came out of the G League and he won the at the time G League championship. I think in 2018. Yeah. So he was like I think like his first full year.
Yeah, he was
second year, like starting, which is crazy. Yeah, you really think about it.
Yeah,
no, I agree. I agree. I agree with you on that completely.
Okay.
We
Underrated.
threw you off, Denzel. We threw you off. We threw you off the game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So, I mean, for me, my underrated players, yeah, I had Norman Powell on my list too. Norman Powell, dude, is so good, man. Like, he's an absolute dog coming off the bench.
He could have been an all-star.
Honestly, the best player on that Clippers team right now, I think.
And I will say this. There's a teammate of his that I think is very underrated, and that's Ivica Zubac.
Ooh, I like that pick.
Ivica Zubac, I think, is extremely underrated.
Remember that did the Lakers trade him for Mike Muscala? Was that what it was?
I think it was something. It was something weird like that.
What a horrible trade in retrospect.
Yeah.
It was already a bad trade.
Yeah, it's yeah, so the Lakers traded Zubac and Michael Beasley for Mike Muscala. Yeah, that's the trade.
They could have used him.
Yeah, that's the trade. That's wild, dude. I didn't even realize Beasley was a part of that trade, bro.
Were the Celtics the ones who drafted him and then traded him to the Lakers, though?
I think we got Muscala for like half a season.
No, I'm talking about Zubac. Wasn't he one of those? Wasn't he one of those Cleveland picks?
No, that was Ante Zizic.
Oh, Zizic.
They looked up. They kind of.
Oh, okay, that's who that. Okay.
Why do I remember that IT trade?
Yeah.
Oh,
such a bad trade.
No, he was drafted by the Lakers in 2016. Zubac was, but my reasoning for Zubac being I mean, I put a star next to his name. I think he's arguably the most underrated player in the league. He had career highs this year in points, rebounds, and assists: 16.8, 12.7, 2.7 assists. Three key stats here. One, he was first in the league in offensive rebounding this year. Let's start there. Two, he was first in the league in total rebounds. 1,010 rebounds, total rebounds he had this year. Three, he was fourth in the league in field goal percentage at 62.8%. And I'm telling you, I could put a fourth statistic in here. Zubac's previous career high on post-ups, when he posts up in the paint, he had 135. This was his previous career high, 135 post-up possessions, and he scored 138 points. This year, he posted up 325 times for 345 points. And to me, Zubats for me, like once I saw the tail of the tape, and I've been kind of watching some of the Clippers games this year. And I was like, dude, this guy has been a massive improvement this whole entire year. Like I said, career highs and everything, first in offensive rebounding and total rebounds. And I mean, I couldn't think of a better guy to be more underrated than him. Everyone votes for him. I just make mention of him. But Derek White, just throwing that name out there. Derek White is always underrated in a sense. But
I think he's perfect. Yeah, I think he's perfectly rated right now.
I guess like you don't expect like the world, but you know exactly what you're going to get with Derek White.
Right. Yeah. Now you do, but like a couple years ago,
last year I agree with you. Last year he's number one. But
right, absolutely. And so I think a lot of people don't realize Derek White is that good. He just, CJ knows I've mentioned this stat before. He just leads the NBA in blocks by guards the last 3 seasons. Like, it's crazy what this guy does dude, the chase down block last night, dude. Come on, man. Like, I'm like, who was it? Was it Brunson? It was Brunson or Hart. One of them was on a fast break, had this easy layup, and White just came out of nowhere and was like, get that out of here, dude. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, so Derek White, Norman Powell, Zubats. If I was to pick an honorable mention on my list, I'm going to go with Josh Hart. I'm going to go with Josh Hart on this list because he is a do-it-all. He's your do-it-all guy on this Knicks team. Rebounds, assists. And like we said earlier in the show, listen, you can't leave this brother open from the corner in the 3-ball. Like, he'll make the shots, but his offensive rebounding reared its ugly head last night. I mean, every possession, he was either tipping it out or he was out hustling everyone to get to the ball first. And so he dives on the floor. He does the little things. I can't put him up there with Derek White because he hasn't chipped 2 teeth yet. So I can't do that. Yeah. But, Josh Hart's my honorable mention. Darren, where are you at? Who do you got?
I just got to say real quick, because January 5th, 2022, CJ and I went to a Celtics game against the Spurs. They lost by 2 points, 99-97. And Derek White wasn't well known at that point, but that was like a month before he was traded. And he was hitting some threes. I was so happy when we traded for him. That's when I knew.
Yeah.
But I talk about Siakam, but just more general underrated players. I get your White point. Like, player, I agree. It's kind of like a weird. I'm trying to think of like one other guy.
Can I say one more?
Like, I'd say if we're going to talk, like, I guess thinking of the Celtics, Pritchard, he has turned into an amazing, he won 6th Man of the Year. I think he wanted to leave the Celtics the year before they won the championship, and he has became one of the best. I think if you're going to talk half-court shooters, just like in game, hands down, I think he's like number one.
Yeah.
But I have nothing but respect for a player who can accept their role this early in their career, knowing that, okay, I'm not a starter. Maybe I could go somewhere else and be a starter. I'm trying to think of a team. but he completely turned his career around. I'd say like a quiet first few years, but I mean, he was key in. I mean, even the 24 finals, that half court shot, one of my favorite moments. It's actually amazing how he's turned his career into like a serviceable guy who can, if you insert him into the lineup, the games where he does play, usually like games that don't matter. I think statistically looking at his, he had like 4 starts this year, but he always shows up. He's always, I think when he starts, he can like drop 30 points. And if he's needed, he knows like to come to the call. So I love that when I can see a player kind of master their role.
Now I got one more player as well, and it is Joe. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna say Joe Ingles again. Nah, it's not. It's not. I promise. I'm gonna go with another Boston guy. I'm gonna go with another Boston guy that is no longer with the Boston Celtics. I'm gonna go to the Aaron Nesmith role. I think his role in Indiana is right where he should be. He's a bucket getter. Yes, he has a little bit of a reach-in problem. We talked about this with him being in foul trouble a lot, but when he's out of foul trouble, he's really good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and we talked about that tonight a little bit. Aaron Nesmith had 23 points tonight in a monster victory, a monster come from behind victory against the Cavaliers. Yeah, I mean, Nesmith, when Nesmith was in Boston, he just was like, his energy was just a little bit out of control. And something that I said a couple times was, especially to my friends, I was like, if Aaron Nesmith can control some of that energy, he's going to be a really good player. And he went to Indiana, and he has just blossomed. He has just blossomed over there and has fit so well into that system. Another guy who will dive on the floor and do the little things to help you win ball games when needed. And so, I love the Nesmith one. If we could keep going down the list, like I have Jaden McDaniels on the Minnesota Timberwolves, the occasional 30-point bucket scorer in the playoffs. 30 point.
We have Jalen McDaniels.
Yeah, so it's like Bobby Portis is another name that comes to mind for me. Like, I mean, he is so beloved in Milwaukee. I think now you know what you're going to get out of him when he comes off the bench.
Just because he's in Milwaukee, though. If he was anywhere else,
I mean, he's a starter if he's anywhere else. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if he's on other teams, he's a starter.
Maybe the Wizards, but...
Yeah, maybe. Exactly. Maybe the Wizards, but I don't see him starting on any of the playoff teams.
Oh, no. But, like, I'm saying, like, he could be someone that you... Not necessarily, I wouldn't say completely build around, but could be a cornerstone piece alongside, just throwing names out, a LaMelo Ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I kind of look at him as like Charles Oakley of this generation.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good comp. I actually like that. Yeah, tough, a good rebounder, can get a bucket when you need him to get a bucket, even though Portis clearly has better three-point shooting than Oakley, but he's got that toughness and that rebounding ability for sure. But the last one that came to mind for me was Jalen Suggs of Orlando.
I agree.
Jalen Suggs, dude.
That's my dude.
How can I not mention this guy? Like, and obviously we know if Suggs was playing in this series, in that first round series against Boston, we know that series. I still
was at least 6.
Yeah, I would say 6 and not 5.
It could have been 7 though, because he was on. Yeah. He was when he was playing, he was having a career year for him. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's so many random guards. Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
They
also got Paulo though. Paulo is.
Oh, he's him.
He's him.
And yeah, he's him on that team. I mean, before Jalen Suggs got hurt, he was averaging 16 points per game. Like, career, obviously, like you said, CJ, career high. Scoring-wise, he was averaging 16 points per game. He was on trend to have a career high in rebounds per game, 4 rebounds. I mean, he only played in 35 games this year. It's unfortunate with the injury for him, but when he's healthy, dude, like
When Jalen Suggs was on the floor, he was a gift to everybody that did sports betting. He was a gift to everybody this year when he was on the floor.
He's also dating Haley Van Lith, so props to him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, Haley Van Lith. Yeah. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I have all the useless NBA knowledge. So.
Useless. I mean, to some people, it's not useless. Let's just say that. But oh man, yeah, that what a great segment that is. Let us know down in the comment section who you guys think is the most, or if you guys have a list of the most underrated players in the league right now, or even if all time. Give us a list of your all-time list on the most underrated players. But with that being said, we're gonna go into our CJ.
We're gonna transition into one thing before we go into the last segment. We got another little sponsor ad for you. Of course, we got Tequila Viva Seltzer. Hey, if you like partying, if you like drinking, these are the go-tos. Make sure you stay tuned as always, and we'll be right back.
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
It's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
And that is Viva Tequila Seltzers. Apparently, according to CJ, they have really good flavors, especially watermelon. That's the flavor that CJ lives and dies by. So if you guys haven't tried them out, go try them out. But we're going to get into our history segment of the night, and we're going to be talking about the greatest NBA player to never win a ring. Darren, I'm going to start with you on this one, my guy. Who do you have? Do you have a little list, or do you have one particular player that you have in mind?
Try to split between kind of more our time and past time, because it feels like what we is different than what we didn't get to witness but evaluate. It's funny. I said to CJ before that I wanted to maybe talk about Karl Malone, but it's
obvious.
And then I feel like maybe somebody CJ will mention, we kind of already delved into Westbrook, so I was considering that, but we talked about it, so I'll kind of skip. I think my overall player, personal favorite, Charles Barkley. He unfortunately met up with Michael Jordan, and that is all you need to know. There was a lot of players in the 90s that hit that kind of, hard to beat. But yeah, I think that's more of a personal preference. I mean, I've been watching Inside the NBA for so long that I think he's so funny, and I just love his career. He was such an underrated, in a weird way, where like you don't really talk about him as much because it was such a center-dominated league that kind of like a power forward center mix kind of fell under the radar. But I mean, he was an MVP and made a finals as the main guy. So I got to give him his props. A more personal one, Allen Iverson, just the early 2000s. I love that era so much. And I mean, he's another player. He hit a tough roadblock, that Shaq Kobe Lakers team. But I mean, that game one in that series, I think that's arguably one of the best one game performances when you look at who he was playing, and I would love to see him get a ring. And I mean, even his time in Denver, it was possible, but team didn't work out. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, honestly, so many players to go by those lists, but those are just two names. I figure CJ would have somebody different, but I guess we'll see.
All right, CJ, who do you got? Who do you got on your
I
list
got a
here?
list. I got a list for you. So I like the Charles Barkley pick. I did have him in my list, so I won't mention him, but I do have him there. I'm gonna go way back. I'm gonna start off with Artis Gilmore. Artis Gilmore. I mean, when we look at Chicago and his days in Chicago, you can't not put him on this list. So I had to put him there. One of my personal favorites, if you know me, my second team or favorite team is no longer here. My second favorite team is uh, the Seattle Supersonics. I have Sean Kemp on this list.
Yeah.
I like you said, Darren, Charles Barkley was on this list. But when I look at the '90s, I look at two players more than I look at anybody else. And when I look at the '90s, I look at Tracy McGrady, number one, because T Mac. I mean, when we talk about Kobe Bryant and everything like that, Kobe Bryant said the toughest person for him to guard was Tracy McGrady because he could do everything that Kobe could do, but he was what 5 inches taller. So I had to put Tracy McGrady on this. But the number one guy, my favorite player of all time in basketball history, my personal favorite. We have the red and purple on here for a reason. I have Vince Carter. Vince Carter is my number one guy on this list, and I put him far further up than anybody on this list because I think he is the greatest NBA player to never win a ring. In Vince Carter's prime, I think that he was better than everybody else that didn't win a ring, and that's including Carmelo Anthony, that's including Allen Iverson, that's including everybody. If you give Vince Carter another chance with Tracy McGrady, I think that that's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown all over again. So I think that when it comes down to it, Vince Carter is my number one guy. Vinsanity was just on a different level.
I know you hate Ray Allen for stealing a ring from T Mac on the way out.
Yeah. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about it.
2013 Spurs T Mac, best player ever.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yo, I mean, man, I love you turning back the clock there on Artis Gilmore, one of the pioneers of the ABA before the merger.
He was an MVP, right? 72. Yeah, he deserves some. He deserves more respect.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I actually do really love the Artis Gilmore one. I didn't think of him at all. And just something to keep in mind is the ABA played 84 games in the regular season, not 82. So
I think it should be more. I think it should be 100.
100.
We need more basketball seasons.
Just a spoiler alert: the NBA's Players Association will be calling you very shortly.
I think the
they'll
NFL
have something to say about that.
Lovely. Let them.
But so for me, yeah, I mean, like Darren said, there's obvious ones with Karl Malone and and Russell Westbrook. You could easily put those two on the list. Obviously, they're on the list. Love round mound to rebound, Charles Barkley, AI. For me, I also went back as well. I went deeper than Artis Gilmore. I went to Elgin Baylor.
Fair enough.
Elgin Baylor back in the 50s and 60s, drafted by the Minneapolis Lakers at the time before they went to LA. This guy averaged 27 points, 13 rebounds a game, and he's a guard. Like he's a guard size. Like
in the Army. The same time he played.
He's 6'5". He was 6'5", and he averaged 27 and 13 and a half rebounds. Obviously, similar to like what we've seen with Barkley. Barkley was that undersized power forward guy as well. He was 6'6", but Barkley had some numbers like that too. Like he had numbers where he went 28 points, 11 rebounds. And so it's like there's even a year where he went 23 and 14. And so yeah, I had to put Elgin Baylor in here. Obviously, we know what plagued Elgin Baylor in his career from winning an NBA championship, and that is obviously your boys Bill Russell's Celtics of
We agree.
that era.
Technically,
Obviously,
people will argue with you that Elgin Baylor has. He was like on that, I think the '72 team for like half the season. So like he's not
yes,
credited with a ring, but they say he got one. But yeah, you know,
yeah,
that's what kept him off my list. But I agree, he's technically I put
yeah.
him here.
Yeah, that was there. I saw that too, and I was like, that 72 team.
Yeah, it's hard to
I'm-
get David in play.
Did they have Gail Goodrich then?
Yes, Gail Goodrich was on that
was a
championship
fun-
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun. Like I was there. That was a cool.
That's
team.
my favorite player from like that era of basketball is Gail Goodrich.
Yeah, this is
Will Chamberlain, Gail Goodrich.
Yeah.
Jerry West.
I mean,
Yeah.
they couldn't get it done without Gail Goodrich there, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, Gail.
Jerry
I'd have
West,
to-
Jerry West is lucky he's not on this list. We're talking careers 1 and 9.
Yeah. He's still
yeah.
he's still haunted by Boston, guaranteed.
Oh, I would wake up in shivers every day if I see
Yeah.
Bill Russell's face. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we look at that 72 title season, and Gail Goodrich averaged 26 points a game.
Did Chris Webber ever win one?
No, he didn't.
Nope.
That's another guy that
Chris
I would look
Webber
at.
was
I love him.
played.
He deserved. He had a weird career.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
another
Chris-
guy
I
I
mean-
would look at.
Arguably the greatest collegiate player to never win a national title. You know, you could easily say that one. Thank you. The whole timeout thing there with
Fab Five.
the Fab
Yeah.
Five against North
Rob
Carolina.
Rob Pelinka was on that team. The GOAT.
I know. I finally put 2 and 2 together because I rewatched the Fab Five thing like a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Are you kidding me, Rob Pelinka?" Like I didn't even put it together until I watched it a couple weeks ago again, and I was like, "Oh no way!" I didn't realize Pelinka was on that team. But
Just
yeah,
mention one personal favorite, Reggie Miller. That man deserved a ring.
yo, that's a good
That's
one.
another good one.
So many
Yeah.
opportunities between like '98 and '04. Such a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't. Reggie played, and like the players we're talking about, there was someone during their era that dominated the league, and obviously we know what the '90s like.
He
Patrick
almost had
Ewing.
MJ in '98. He almost had him.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, Game 7, Pacers, Bulls in '98. There, what a dogfight that series was, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I wish the Knicks got one. I wish the Knicks got one in the '90s. Patrick Ewing is one of my.
The East in the '90s.
Yeah.
I would pay the Knicks, Magic, Bulls.
I would, give me Patrick Ewing in today's day of basketball, and we'll give him Joel Embiid. It will be fine. You know what I mean?
Take it now.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, for me, another one for me was Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins was another one. This guy averaged a career 25 points per game in his career.
Did Muggsy ever get one?
Oh, God,
Muggsy Bogues?
Yeah.
no, he was mostly on Charlotte.
He was on Charlotte and he was on Toronto. I know he was on Toronto with Vince and T-Mac.
Oh yeah, because Hakeem was on that team too. What a
Yeah.
wonderful team! Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Muggsy never. No, Muggsy never
Oh,
won a
Muggsy's
title.
got to be on everybody's list for this then.
Hey, Dominique won like a Greek championship. We gotta count that.
I mean,
Greek-
Not
it goes with
NBA.
It goes like the same thing with the Charles Barkley though. Like Charles Barkley never won a ring, but he was the leading scorer on that '92 Dream Team in Barcelona.
He was
Like,
on
Stephon Marbury? Come on. Come
Harvard.
on now. Stephon Marbury?
Yo, Marbury to
Bro.
Eddie Curry. was-
Dude, man, I'll do you one better. Give me back-to-back 2-time MVP Steve Nash. Come on, man.
I mean,
You're
like,
salting on
yeah,
the
but like, he
Warriors.
didn't even deserve that back-to-back, though. That's like,
I will agree. I will agree. Like, there's controversy on those back-to-back MVPs. I think there was. I think one of those 2 years he deserved to win it. The second year, you could have given it to somebody else.
Listen,
Like,
listen,
2017.
my input
Yeah.
on Steve Nash is him and Jason Kidd were interchangeable. We saw Jason Kidd win one, so it's fine that Steve Nash didn't win one. That's my
I
opinion
forget
on
that
that.
Jason Kidd went to 2 with the Nets. I always forget about those Nets teams.
Yeah, I know.
Early 2000s.
He went to 2, but he won one. So they're interchangeable. So I'm fine
Yeah.
with Steve Nash not winning.
I could argue Kevin Durant. No.
No, KD won 2.
It's the joke.
Okay.
Those don't count. No,
I mean, you could say his buddy Russ though.
Yeah,
You
I know.
could say his buddy Russ.
I mean, I have an honorable mention on this list.
If you say
And-
somebody that just lost in the playoffs, I'm gonna be really upset.
Nope.
that you said
Joe Ingles.
No, I'm not gonna say that.
Joe Ingles.
Joe Ingles. Oh man, y'all
Donovan Mitchell, if he was a leader, could have got Joe Ingles a ring.
But wait, did he have Joe Ingles with him in Utah?
He did.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair
I was
enough,
gonna say,
Darren.
I thought he had
like
Joe Ingles
that.
in Utah.
Giannis
like
couldn't
that,
win a
Darren.
ring. Giannis couldn't win a ring. He was on the Bucks second year, I think.
So for the last one for me, my honorable mention, and the greatest collegiate player of all time, Pete Maravich. Give me Pistol Pete.
Yes.
Give me
Yes.
Pistol
I know
Pete.
TJ likes that one.
For him,
Thank you.
for him to never win a ring, like
I totally
this
forgot
guy
about it.
was ahead of
Yeah.
his time. Pistol Pete was ahead of his time.
And
The fans
he was on the
passed-
Celtics like the year before.
Yeah, the
Took
year
off,
before.
like 80.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
so brutal.
Hey,
But-
and fun fact about Pistol Pete Maravich is that
Mhm.
he predicted his own death.
That man was so in tune
He
with
predicted it. He said he was going to die on a basketball court like 20 years before he did. And he said it was going to be due to a heart attack, and that's what it was. He literally
Yeah.
predicted that.
Yeah, that one burned my soul a little bit when I found out that Maravich was on the Celtics like the year.
Put him in
Oh.
today's game. Oh my god.
Pistol
I'm
Pete,
like,
Pistol Pete was the how do I put this? Pistol Pete was the Jason Williams, White Chocolate, or Allen Iverson of the 60s or 70s and 80s. He was that. That's what Pistol Pete was.
I mean, Pistol Pete, you could arguably say he's one of the greatest NBA players of all time, not to win an MVP. He never won an MVP either.
He was just
And-
on such bad teams. That's what sucks.
I agree
know-
with
I
you
know.
on the best. As soon as you said the best college player ever, I was like, please don't say it like a bad name. Like,
If
but
that man had
no,
three-point
I
line-
am 110% on board with you. He is
Yeah.
the best college
no,
player
if he had a
ever.
3-point line, oh my goodness.
The
I know
thing-
if he had the 3-point line, like I don't
Dude.
know, he would have been like Steph Curry of like the 80s. Like that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, Pete Maravich, like I said, a complete 100% ahead of his time, and this guy averaged over 36 points a game for his collegiate career. Like, are you kidding me? And if I remember correctly, I think he only played 3 years at LSU. Like, he's like, what? Like, are you kidding me?
Talk about underrated, brother. Talk about
Oh.
underrated.
If we continued with the all-time underrated list, Pete Maravich by far,
110%.
because like Darren
He's
said,
number one.
yeah,
Number one.
Dude,
Like
if
Darren
that
said,
guy had, dude, he
there's
played like
nobody
10
else.
years, like I think split between the Hawks and the Jazz or the whatever they were at the time.
yeah, the
Yeah,
New Orleans,
The
Yeah.
New Orleans
yeah.
Jazz and the Atlanta Hawks
he
when they
needed was,
wore the
like,
blue and green.
Those blue and green jerseys. But he had like
Yeah.
no teammates up until the Celtics. All he needed was like one good team.
And to think
Yep.
it was the year before. Oh, and
It's
that
like-
was the early days of Bird. Oh, dude,
Like,
man.
can you imagine a rookie Pete Maravich with Larry Bird?
That's ridiculous. That's like Steph Curry and Kevin Durant of the 80s right there.
We're done.
That's what
I
that
can't
is.
stop him. I can't do this.
Oh, but you guys in the comment section, please let us know what you guys think of the best player to never win an NBA
Obviously,
ring.
known recovering finals addict, Chris Paul. You know,
Yeah, Chris Paul's another good one too. I mean,
It's like-
clearly,
I wish
That's just an injury course though.
No,
That's
his like early career, I really hold on to when he was on the Hornets. Like he was kind of
that
like
Houston team.
people hate him because of his like personality and like attitude, but I like pure point guard, last of his kind. I really love that Hornets here where he almost won
Second last.
No, he lost to Kobe.
Wait, no. Rondo retired, right? Rondo retired.
Yeah, he hasn't played.
Yeah, Rondo's retired. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
he is the last. Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head there, Darren. Like the last, like pure point guard. Like, I mean, this is a guy who's second all time on the assist
Haliburton
leaderboard.
can get there though.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, I mean, he's not that far away from being the all-time assist leader. He is, and he's not too far behind, and especially being in
Don't
a
tell John
situation
Stockton that. Oh, would we put John Stockton on this list?
I mean, we can.
I mean, John Stockton's up there too.
You mentioned passing, so I was like all-time assist leader.
Yeah. John Stockton should easily be on this list as well. Another pure point guard.
I feel like we're forgetting so many names.
I know there's got to be somebody that I'm like. I feel like we're skipping over like.
Did Grant Hill ever win one?
No, he was.
No, I was gonna say I don't think Grant Hill.
There was a lot of good players in the 2000s that just missed it.
Yeah. I'd have to look up. I don't think.
Yao Ming.
Yao Ming, that's a good one. Yeah, I don't see. There's nothing for Grant Hill. No, never won an NBA title.
Injuries, man.
Harden, but I will say Harden and Chris Paul should have a ring, but Chris Paul got hurt.
2018.
But then again, Chris Paul should have multiple rings because I do agree with you on New Orleans. And then the stint of LA, I mean, he got screwed out of rings because he went to the Clippers instead of the Lakers. But even with that Clippers team, he still should have won. So
yeah,
I mean,
injuries every year. Clippers not making one finals from like 20. Say when Chris Paul got there to now is still insane to me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and the other thing is too is like Chris Paul was on that 2021 Suns team that made it to the finals and ran into Giannis.
Yeah, but that was a little bit different because he wasn't the star that he was.
Yeah,
on
it
the
was
other
Booker.
three teams.
It
Yeah.
was Booker and a nice,
Guys.
soft and jello like DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what that star power was. Is that was D Book and that was Ayton. That wasn't
right,
Chris Paul.
exactly. Yeah,
That's when Chris Paul started taking a back seat.
He was the perfect vet for that team that needed one like immensely for the last like 5 years.
Yeah,
So he took his role really well. I was gonna say Paul George, but he's still playing. So
yeah. Let's not say him yet. I'm saving you, Darren. I'm saving you.
I really liked Paul George in Indiana. Like that was like a good era for me. But I'm not gonna say much on that. I feel like
Indiana Paul George. I agree with
I
Clippers.
guess it's more. I wish they made the finals than it was.
Yeah. Yeah, Indiana Paul George, OKC Paul George, I agree with. But if we're talking about Clippers and 76ers Paul George, well, you lost me, brother. I hate to break it to you.
that bubble, man. They weren't locked in.
Oh yeah, it's always the bubble, man. Everything goes back to the bubble. All right, guys. With that being said, what a great show we've had here today. We've got like what we always do. We give you a little bit of current stuff. By the way, Warriors Timberwolves go final 99-88 Warriors. They're up 1-0. So all four underdogs take game one in the East and Western Conference semifinals. So with that being said, CJ, do you have any credentials that people can find you on the social media?
Yeah, you can find me at real_live_zone on Instagram. You can find me if you look up my real name on Facebook, CJ Nicholas. And you can also find me on X, real_livezone. as well as the East Coast Sports Investors profiles. So you can find me everywhere.
Darren, do you have any socials that you would like to share with the good
Yeah,
people
I
out
know
there?
everybody's dying to follow me because I've been here so long. Yeah, I just got on Instagram, Darren.Smith0105. That's about it.
All right, and for me, Deportes Diesel on X. Send out daily free plays every single day, so go check it out. But with that being said, that's CJ, that's Darren, I'm Denzel, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next one. Deuces.